The Buffalo Board of Education.
Sweet insanity, let's get twisted. Welcome to the chaos where madness meets the craze. A whirlwind of insanity, lost in a daze. By day I crack my tails, by night I game insane. In sweet insanity, you're tangled in my brain. Dark humor, neon lights, wrapped in endless nights. Every stream's a journey, prepare for the frights. From sketches to stories and battles to quests. Join my twisted world, let's see who's next. Jayce ran, that's my name. Step into my game. Sweet insanity, where nothing stays the same. Chaos and charm blend, you're my twisted friend. Dive into the madness, let's see where it ends. Writing twisted tales, gaming through the night. Every moment's madness, laced with pure delight. Penning dreams and nightmares, let your spirit fly. In sweet insanity, let's laugh until we cry. Dark humor, neon lights, wrapped in endless nights. Every stream's a journey, prepare for the frights. From sketches to stories and battles to quests.
All right. Hello, hello, hello. How are you all doing tonight? So, I was told by a streamer friend, or actually it was just a friend who commented on my stuff. But somebody commented, and there is more to the Buffalo police case and the school districts than originally said. So I went through and I got a few clips, and I want to show them. Yeah, so hold on. Let's go right here. And before I get a little teaser to start us off with, this is from the news. I got a few clips from the news. Then I want to show the new proof that came out. This is how the news is covering it. So this is Buffalo news. So let's check it out.
The Buffalo Board of Education is responding to a police detective's allegations against the district. They will conduct an independent investigation. After spending about 2.5 hours in executive session, Buffalo School Board members emerged Monday night from behind closed doors, saying they take allegations made by Buffalo Police Detective Richard High very seriously. High accuses the district of covering up cases of child abuse and sexual assaults.
The Board of Education takes allegations about the well-being of our students seriously. The BOE is initiating an independent external investigation, and the results will be shared publicly.
As the superintendent of the Buffalo Public Schools, I need to say that I wholeheartedly support everything that our board president and our board members have shared this evening.
The board is not allowed to comment on any ongoing investigations. However, 3 school board members and Superintendent Dr. Tanja Williams-Knight did say they do not know Detective High and were shocked
that's weird.
what was said on the podcast.
So,
the superintendent also
it's in like one ear, and like the other ones they have. That's weird.
There is not a single parent concern that has come to my attention
All
during
right.
my tenure in this position that has not been addressed.
So once again, this is a person that's working for the school board district that's saying not a single concern has ever been brought up, and nothing, never been not been addressed. Well, that's not what's being reported. And I'm kind of thinking they are trying to save their job because they're like, oh shit. But
Sometimes by me personally.
That if they do have concerns, real concerns, that they reach out to the superintendent, that they reach out to board members so that we are informed of those concerns.
Now, I did ask board members and the superintendent if they've been inundated by calls from parents, and they said yes, indeed they have. At City Hall, Eileen Buckley,
Oh.
News.
So wait.
The Buffalo Board of Education is
All right. So as you can see, they had some things
in the
come up, but once again, let's just watch all 3 of these clips and then we'll discuss.
District. We're now learning that there is no agreement in place with the police department to provide student resource officers. Good evening. I'm Mary Ellis Demler.
And hello, I'm Scott Levin. Now, those SROs respond to schools when there is a 911 call or are scheduled in a school for a variety of reasons. 2 on your side's Nate Benson has the latest for us tonight. Nate?
Yes, Scott and Mary Alice, we've confirmed that the district and police department don't have a signed agreement that outlines how SROs are used in schools. Allegations by Buffalo Police Detective Richard Hodge focus on security and alleged.
This is so moving the goalpost.
Two on your side to ask additional questions.
Oh, we have no special agreement.
What is the formal agreement?
It's just the law.
And police department in regards to school resource officer services that are provided. It turns out there isn't one, at least on paper. Sources tell us that there
doesn't need to be one.
Years.
You're dealing with crimes.
Goes back several police and district administrations. While Buffalo Police has about 10 dedicated school resource officers for the district, and with no agreement formalized, we don't know how the program is supposed to function, who is responsible for what, or how officers are expected to respond, or what their expectations even are. There's nothing outlined on the Buffalo Police Manual of Procedures, and there's no publicly available information about the program.
I hold on. I got to stop this. So literally, they're like making excuses as to why this stuff wasn't finished, like why they didn't actually respond to these serious claims. They're making excuses. They're like, well, no one told us that we had to. It's freaking crimes, dude. It's crimes committed against children. What do you mean no one was responsible for it? Or, well, we didn't know we were supposed to help out. We didn't know we were supposed to supply. We didn't know we were supposed to cooperate with police investigation. Like, that's bullshit, man. I don't know.
Website. The only thing that is outlined is in the Emergency Response to Critical Situations Handbook on the BPS website, which directs staff to when they should call 911 during an incident. As recently as December 2024, the Buffalo School Board passed a resolution calling on the district and Buffalo Police to establish a formal written agreement which will formally govern how the BPD and SROs will work with the district and each
That's crazy.
BPS buildings. But since that resolution was passed, no agreement has been finalized. A spokesperson for the district tells me that the BPS...
It's just paperwork. It's bureaucracy.
...working to finalize a memorandum of understanding agreement. Now, also related to school security, the man arrested at the Charles R. Drew Magnet School in February is set to be arraigned tomorrow morning in court after he allegedly approached a student at that school and punched a staff member. This is one of the cases highlighted by Detective High in that podcast last week. On your side, Nate Benson, Channel 2 News.
Also tonight, we are hearing from the teachers union within Buffalo Public Schools about the allegations of child abuse cover-ups made against the district. If you're unfamiliar with this, the allegations were made by a Buffalo police detective on a Texas-based podcast late last month.
The Buffalo school system has been intentionally not reporting the assaults of student between student, and then has also used the Buffalo Police Department's school resource officers to write reports and then had their influence over those officers to then close the reports.
Now, since that appearance last month, Detective Richard High has been back on this podcast and others, slamming the district for not responding.
And that's what we're going to be seeing today.
And making new accusations specifically targeting teachers. Tonight, 7 News senior reporter Eileen Buckley has reaction from the leader of the Buffalo Teachers Federation to this latest round of allegations made by the police detective.
So we're going to see
some accusation of child abuse.
Once again, we're going to watch the actual thing, but right now I'm just showing you the response because I think this is really important for everyone to see and to actually witness what they're doing. They're obfuscating what he's saying. They're not addressing what he's saying. They're skirting around with little other issues. They're not saying that it's not true what he's saying. What they're saying is, oh, well, parents haven't said anything. Oh, well, we don't know who was responsible for all this. Oh, we don't know who was supposed to talk to him. Oh, we don't, it wasn't us that had done something wrong. We didn't know we had to report something like that. We have no agreement of reporting. It's like, what? No.
I think it should surprise anybody.
Buffalo Teachers Federation President Rich Nigro met with me Monday after Buffalo Police Detective Richard High made more disturbing accusations of child abuse against the city school district.
Something like this surfaces, any kind of allegation or accusation, then that's something that we do take seriously.
Detective High appeared again on the Unsubscribed podcast, where a week ago he came forward accusing Buffalo schools of covering up cases of child abuse and sexual abuse. Now High says an alleged student rape was mishandled by multiple teachers.
Miss Blank asked, is there any proof?
We're going to be watching this. This isn't, I'm not skipping this part.
When they're reporting this.
Like, we're going to be going over the entire video, so don't worry.
There is a video. The end result of this investigation, thank God, was that it was determined not to be an assault. We ironed everything out.
Anybody who's working in a school, if it's a teacher, an administrator, a teacher assistant, if you're working with children in the Buffalo Public Schools or in that capacity anywhere, you're a mandated reporter.
On another podcast called Black Rifle Coffee Podcast, High described how some teachers and teacher aides use school bathrooms for
I didn't know about this podcast.
The Buffalo Public School will put children in the bathroom and turn off the lights and then put their foot against the door so the kid can't get out.
This sort of thing, to paint everybody with that very broad brush,
I'll look for that while we're watching the video.
Is irresponsible and unfair.
But Detective High says it is happening, and he's aware because of his work as an SVU detective. The school district sent me a brief statement saying that it is.
We'll get the other one too.
Latest podcasts.
Because once again, I feel this is very important. We've heard enough. We've heard enough from Liz Cheney. Anyways.
In the
I have it on.
And we just go straight into.
Okay. So this is the actual podcast. But first, before we start with the actual podcast, I'd like to say some things. And that is, you can see that they are obfuscating this conversation. They're trying to make it into something that he's not saying. And they're trying to cover up their own accusations and the accusations that are against them right now by saying, oh, well, we didn't know we were responsible for it. That's what that thing was all about, saying that they had no agreement. Well, you don't need an agreement to enforce the law. You're protecting children. And unfortunately, when they have situations like this, I'm not necessarily saying they're bad people, but everyone's going to scramble for the door. They're like cockroaches. When you turn on the lights, they all scurry. And that's what's being done right now, is turning on the lights. And everyone has an excuse as to why they're not responsible, when really they're all responsible and they all are accountable to it. Okay. So let's continue with the podcast. Why would you do? Hold on. It's not going.
This one,
there we
Mr.
go.
Cody, if you want to kick it off, Mr. Cody, of why of this real quick update video for everyone. To the people watching right now, by the way, this is a rare thing. We're actually doing it streaming to each other instead of in person, and there's reasons behind that. We can't just fly Rich down because the new stuff that has came out. But Cody, if you want to introduce and get this going.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Unsubscribed podcast. I'm joined today by Angry Cops, the Fat Electrician, Eli Double Tap, Brandon Herrera, and myself, Donut Operator. We are here today because our friend Angry Cops has some updates about the whole Buffalo school system situation. What you got, Rich?
The local media.
Oh, by the way, Donut Operator, if you ever see this, I really appreciate you paying that $4,000 for that case. I appreciate it. Johnny Smalley deserved that punch.
It hates me.
Oh.
Yeah, we see that.
It seems that trying to disparage me is far more important than looking out for the children of Buffalo. So how dare I even go on your podcast?
And how dare we drink? How dare we drink on that podcast too?
Hashtag absolutely foul.
Listen, I heard you burp, which means you're not allowed to protect children.
That makes sense.
So ridiculous. So fucking ridiculous.
I love how their tone has changed as it becomes apparent that you were A, correct, and B, they get pushback from everybody involved of I don't care that he had empty cans near him and he burped at one point while he's trying to expose corruption and endangering kids.
Okay.
It is the
So
wild.
much for a rocky past.
It's wild.
That's
That's the way to downplay it.
That's
It
my
is
favorite part of the entire thing. They're like, this detective has a rocky past and he's accusing the Buffalo public school system. So you guys want to hear about the rocky past of the Buffalo public school systems? Because I have it. I've covered every fucking scandal they've had since 1970. You guys want to get into those real quick? I can give you just the brief overviews.
Well, I know what today we're going to talk about.
Yeah, today we're talking about the Buffalo school system.
Yeah, before we get into that, that is the one thing. The main thing is, Rich, you have something we will tie in.
I got that other one too, by the way.
We'll go through this linearly of how everything
I just got the Black Rifle podcast one too, so we'll be watching that one after this one.
is unfolding. Rich got hit with a big thing, right?
Yeah, I now have
And that way, also, if any of you don't know what happened, like what they were joking about, to fill you in, everyone was trying to, on that side, was trying to disparage him by making up all kinds of shit and talking about how he, upset a lady and was a governor and a judge and stuff like that, and like all this BS. It's just basically BS once again to obfuscate. They're like, oh, look at this over here. Don't look at this over here. So like, don't listen to that bullshit. That's just them trying to distract you.
evidence that I can share, like that I don't have to sit on and wait. I have evidence that I can share that has to do with one of my investigations is closed that I got just the other day. That it's gonna make me look as like I know what I'm talking about.
Wild. You were right. Huh? You weren't making shit up. Huh?
Yep.
Oh, hold on. Time out. I'm not like a lawyer or anything, but does the testimony of an active serving SVU detective in regards to the area that he does his fucking job in count as evidence to begin with?
Of course not. No.
Some might call me a subject matter expert, so that could be used in court. Yeah.
Oh, of like the cases that you've worked on that you just gave your testimony about and they still fucking called shit. It's okay though, because now we have like concrete documented evidence.
I can't wait to hear it.
Really?
Right?
I can't wait to hear it.
Rich, what is your job? One more time, just so it is very clear of what you do. And there's no,
Yeah.
it's not a random guy on the internet or a random, the influencer.
Yeah. That's actually really important too. Like this is like literally the guy, the detective of the area.
Yeah. So I am currently a detective in the Buffalo Police Department's Special Victims Unit, which deals with assaults on children, domestic violence, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Professional.
When I'm not on YouTube, yeah.
Well, hold on. He burps though.
He does.
Yeah, we recorded that.
Yeah, if I was a parent and I had my kid in the Buffalo public school system, I don't really think I would give a fuck about the empty White Claw can. That's
Yep.
just me personally, though.
Yeah, well, you're going to be a horrible parent, Brandon, per Channel 7 News. So, poor
But what
Ed.
about his decorum?
Poor Ed is just getting lamb basted for for people who don't know. Ed, who is actually he's a good journalist. I enjoyed watching his stuff because he holds people to accountable when he questions them. He doesn't just let them like give him some BS answer. Made the mistake of starting his story about finding out about this by saying, "Oh, the Unsub podcast is gross. It's a bunch of dudes drinking, burping, and being, quote, absolutely foul." And then he goes, but then the detective started talking about things that.
Yeah, and also like even to comment on the decorum when you're talking about such a serious subject, it seems inappropriate. Like to even comment on, oh, they burped or, oh, they, I don't even care if he farted like half the time. Like he could have been gassy and farting and burping all over the place and like even puking up fish chunks he just ate. I don't care. He's talking about kids being abused. Like, I think that's more important than like where the source is coming from. Like if Satan himself came to me and he was like, hey, I know, granted, I wouldn't believe Satan, but still, if Satan said, some kids are being abused and stuff like that, like everyone should listen to it, like, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter how bad of a dude you are. Like, kids are being abused. That's messed up. Just saying.
Were concerning. And I'm like, oh no, you just made the worst introduction to the unsub community you could have made.
Exactly.
And now everybody in the unsub community is not letting him skate and being like, the first thing you cared about and talked about in the story was booze, burps, and being foul. You owe us an apology. And then you guys clipped it and we all shared it. And he's like doubling down on it now, saying, no. I was talking about other stuff too. And Nick was brilliant. He goes, oh, isn't that crazy how we brought up a small portion of something that happened in your career and that's all we're focusing on? Seems kind of like the shit you do to Rich, doesn't it?
It's like, oh, it was out of context. I'm like, no, I watched the clip. It's just what you fucking said to open it up. That's directly what you said.
We played like the untouched minute and a half of him talking. We didn't cut it out of anything.
Yeah, we didn't edit it. It wasn't like a little 5-second snippet. It was just his entire introduction to the segment was talking about how foul we are.
Exactly.
Which is becoming a t-shirt. I talked to the guys at Bunker and they're in the process of making an absolutely foul t-shirt.
Rich, that is your deplorables.
It really is. Wow, that is true.
Well, Nick, do you want to get started with the you probably predates. We have a quick update, or what we can do, Rich, do a quick, hey, here's like a 3 to 5 minute segment to catch everyone up if they're just tuning into this.
Actually, that would be awesome.
So if everybody's tuning into this for the first time,
all right, cool.
What the hell's going on? Because several weeks ago, I
didn't need those bikini clips.
Podcast, which I'm a regular on because we're all boys. And I felt like that was the appropriate opportunity to talk about how the Buffalo Public Schools has been intentionally misreporting or underreporting and obstructing law enforcement investigations into child abuse and assault against children.
Yep.
It got a lot of attention right off the rip.
Hell yeah.
And a lot of people critiqued it and said, hey, we're uncultured and foul, and questioned why I would go on a lame, dumb podcast.
Actually, that's insane, Like, if you really stop and think about it, like, to be so arrogant that you say, oh, well, they're uncultured. Like, once again, listen to the subject matter. It's like people that can't, make up their mind with something, Like, they're sitting there and they're looking at, different things, but they all do the same thing. Like, it doesn't matter how something looks on the outside as long as it gets the job done, Like, I don't get why... I don't know. There's something wrong with this culture, with people in general. They care about what the thing looks like as opposed to actually what it does. Like, I care about what something does, not what it looks like. And that's exactly what they're focusing on. It's all style and no content.
And even talk about such a serious topic. And obviously my reasoning and my response to that is because I trust you guys. I love you all. You guys would allow me to talk like that. And because we're tight, and I asked you if I could just steal the spotlight for a second and talk about something that was weighing on my mind, you let me. And the thing that sent me over the edge, that created and started all of this, wasn't just my several years in the Special Victims Unit and the years prior and hearing about these issues for years and years and years with the Buffalo Public Schools. The straw that broke the camel's back is a recent ongoing investigation where 2 kids were nearly abducted. It was an attempted abduction of 2 kids at an elementary school, and the school had failed to notify one of the kids' parents that the child was a part of an attempted abduction. And
that's once again, that right there is something that's unbelievable to me. How can you have 2 kids that are almost abducted? Well, they were. I mean, technically they were abducted. The pedophile or whatever, whoever had them, they had them in custody, their custody. Just because the school stopped them doesn't mean that he wasn't successful in, kidnapping them. I mean, granted, he didn't get out of the building, but still, that's messed up, And
then the school deleted the video of the attempted abduction. And then only after somebody within the school had the wherewithal to save a copy of it, I don't know how they did it, but they saved a copy of it somehow. They then gave it to the district attorney's office. And only then, when the district attorney got that recording, did they see that there was a second victim? And I was like, okay.
And once again, too, this is really important. They deleted the video. Something ain't right there. That's more than just, oh, we don't want anyone to know about this. This is like, because we're going to get in trouble. I think there's more to it than what Rich is saying here. I think there's a lot more to it. And if it wasn't for the deletion of the video, I wouldn't think much of it. You know, I think that they're just trying to do it for their job. But something's weird about that. That is the weird part. Why would you delete that video? Why would you delete it? You know, that's weird to me.
Cool. If this is what's going on, then I'm done. And somebody has to know, and a change needs to be made now because this is egregious.
Yeah.
And since then, the news has decided, for the first couple days, decided to focus on me instead of the children. And when I say focus on me, they would try to bring up, or they would bring up.
They did. They brought up all kinds of shit.
Internal affairs investigations and investigations with the AG's office. They say he's had numerous investigations, which is fine. I can be investigated a million times for every single complaint that anybody's put on me, and I should be, to make sure I'm not a bad cop. What I don't talk about is that at the end of all these investigations, the only thing that they showed, including the AG's office, was that I was too rude when I called a robbery suspect for an armed robbery fat boy, and that I got in an on-duty accident in a vehicle. Those are the only two things I was found, like, that I did incorrectly. So that brings us to our autism army, who decided to flood the gates with, thank God, the positive comments about me.
Thank you.
And the local media trying to take away the spotlight from the incidents that I'm talking about in the Buffalo Public Schools, trying to cover up sexual assaults and other things in their schools, and trying to make me the center of it. So everybody called them out and literally changed headlines, which I think, Nick, you posted on, where somebody, I think it was a Channel 7 news article, was like, it started off with like, the first paragraph was me having a rocky past, being controversial, and internal affairs investigations. And then within 2 days, that entire portion of the paragraph was gone. And that was about from every news article too. And all it was Special Victims Unit detective.
And that right there goes to show the power of, this is why I'm doing this video. I know it's redundant. It seems redundant to do it. But like, if everyone just got on, you know, YouTube, all content creators, like, just joined together and just made videos about this, just restream this stuff. You don't have to be necessarily a skilled content creator, but if you can get eyes on this, and so people know what's going on, because I guarantee you, it's not just the Buffalo schools. It's all over the country. I'm telling you, if the schools in Buffalo are reacting like this, there is a reason for it. If the media is reacting like this and trying to protect them, there is a reason for it. This is not an isolated case, and it can't be. It can't be isolated. This has to be a bigger issue, and it's all across the country. And we cannot allow this to continue. Enough is enough. We as Americans need to join together when it comes to issues such as having our kids protected. Like, I can't express this enough. We need to protect our kids. There is so much of it across this country right now. And we need to protect them. And what they're doing right now, what he's exposing, he's putting his life in danger by exposing this stuff. Like, there are powerful people that do not want this type of stuff to get out. But thank God we have a guy like Rich that's doing God's work. You cannot tell me that God is not happy with this man.
All of a sudden, all of my shit was gone, thank God. And they started focusing on the real issue, which is the children. And that was because the community stepped up and held them accountable.
Isn't that crazy how they question why on earth you would go to a podcast and not the news outlets, and then they immediately show you why you were just...
Yeah, exactly.
by berating you and focusing on you. And then you actually went in at their request and filmed a 20 to 30-minute interview, and then they only posted 7 minutes of it, whereas you get to come on here and talk for 37 minutes uninterrupted the entire time and get the full fucking story out.
I'm sorry I'm interrupting, guys. I have
I'm
to.
confused as why they didn't even put the 27 minutes that we recorded up on their YouTube channel. Like, all of their videos get like 800 views on YouTube. So who cares if you put up the entire unedited version on YouTube? You would get more views.
It's the line. Like, one of the crazy things is Cody talks about, I mean, we've all talked about it, but it is not trusting legacy media, the news. And then you get to see how they discredited you with that. It's like, hey, let's focus on his quote unquote rocky past, but then just outright lie. The one that was,
I'm sorry, but doesn't those headphones, they kind of look like sandals? I don't know. I'm sorry. I have ADHD. Forgive me.
It's wild. Is you headbutted a children in the face, and there was a 17-year-old that was like trying to pull somebody off a fucking police officer.
No, that was different. That was an off-duty fight with drug dealers.
Yeah, and they said children.
Yeah, they tried to say children. That kid's been arrested. Like, I say kid, he's younger than me, but he was 17. He was selling dope outside my friend's house in a different town.
Jeez.
And I confronted him about it, and then he swung at me, and I headbutted him in the mouth. And then we called the police. They showed up. They ended up tasing and arresting one of the dummies that was a part of their little gang. And since then, like, that dude that I got in a fight with has been arrested like numerous times for like breaking into people's cars and dope and just being an overall turd.
Yeah, I saw the news recently brought up the thing too about that dipshit that was hitting cars with a skateboard, and you held him down until cops got there. They brought it up again. They were like, held down a black man having a mental crisis,
which is hilarious because in the actual video, like you're just holding him down. You're like, he's fine. The guy on the ground's like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, he says, I've been waiting for this all day. Because what the news doesn't put out there is that there were already 7 911 calls about him.
Jeez.
That he was flashing his dick to people crossing the street and trying to hit cars and people with his skateboard before I showed up. And then the police went there, and because there was no complainant to be like, yeah, that's the guy, I want him arrested for flashing me and trying to hit me, they were like, hey, you're the guy that's causing an issue, you need to settle down. They had a mental health counselor with them who deemed him to be sane and fine, and they didn't need to put him into, the loony bin for the day to get him checked out. And they left. And then 3 minutes later, I showed up. And then 3 minutes later, he motherfucked me and then tried to hit my truck with his skateboard, and then we scuffled. And then that was it.
It's a shame that we have to even have this segment before, period.
It's amazing.
This shouldn't have to be discussed to show it's like, hey, this is trustworthy.
Actually, this is kind of crazy too, if you stop and think about it, that they're having that conversation, like, just outside of what he's saying right now. Because, like, think about a guy having a mental issue, not being taken in and taken care of. Like, he should have been taken off the streets. And thanks you, Ronald Reagan, I guess, for closing down all the insane asylums. And yeah, because that was a real genius idea. Ronald Reagan, I hate that guy.
The discrediting, if you're doing that and you're watching this, or that's your first reaction to be like, well, we just got to discredit that police officer. Fuck. We don't care about the kids, anything. First, let's get this guy. Let's knock him down a peg, and then we'll focus on that. And we have to have this segment just for that, which is fucking wild.
I think it's petty jealousy too, because the local media is upset you didn't go to them. You went to a podcast instead.
Yep, that's also part of it too.
Break the story. We're the real journalists. They do really think that way. Like, I experienced it myself.
Yeah,
with campaign stuff and whatnot. But the thing is, you actually wanted it to get fucking views, which is why you went to our podcast and not the local news station that A, was going to attack you and berate you anyway, but B, nobody fucking watches that anymore.
I didn't want to go somewhere where, like you said, the local news is just going to attack me and make me look dumb, and 20,000 people might see it at most. And the most attention it's going to actually get is, I don't know, somebody from the school saying, we'll look into it. And then it not being a non-story forever. Like, I was past that point. Like I said, that story that broke the straw that broke the camel's back, the one with the guy breaking into the school, trying to steal the 2 kids. Like, I was like, no. Change is going to happen now. Change is going to happen right now.
Well, we still appreciate you coming out, being emotional.
This is fantastic.
Feeling comfortable enough to have that discussion, because that was like, it speaks volumes to who you are, and then also the guys you have surrounded yourself with, and the brotherhood we have formed. That's what I love most about all like this group of boys is, man, we're all comfortable around each other, and we want to be fucking truthful to each other. Yeah, we don't pull punches, and we are not trying to hide anything. So again, brother, thank you so much for talking that way with us.
It is. It's an amazing thing that we've reached a time in the United States where we can actually talk openly about this. We don't have the media gatekeeping us, because the media used to be a gatekeeper, and really it's lost its grasp. And I remember the 90s. This would never have been out there. You know, you would never hear about this in the 90s. It's swept under the rug. Remember Boys Town? A bunch of you remember Boys Town, right? I'm sure you do. That was a huge thing, and that was a controversy. But like, almost none of you, like, especially like younger people, like Gen Z and stuff like that, you haven't heard about Boys Town. Like, I don't expect you to, and I'm not going to explain it right now. But like things like that happen, and it's in the cultural zeitgeist, you know, of things. Only a few people know about that, and it's because of the news. And the reason why is because the news also gatekeeps it. So like they mentioned for like 5 minutes, and like, oh, there might be a documentary or two. If you really want to like get into the looking at Boys Town, like looking it up, yeah, you can see all the creepy stuff that the senators and stuff like that did.
And ruining the after show.
Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Nicholas, do you want to bring us up to speed on the sins of the Buffalo School District and how the local media has decided to not talk about that at all until Channel 2 came around and decided to?
Just for the sake of time, we're not even going to get into the 70s through the 90s, because those are a complete shit show where almost everything went unreported.
Oh, hey,
the reason we
look
know
at that.
about the majority of them now are because people are filing civil suits after the fact due to new legislation. I believe it's the Safe Children's Act, which basically said there is no statute of limitations for civil suits in regards to sexual assaults. So
that's
there's
good.
A bunch of stuff
That's good.
come out from that era, but we're going to skip past that.
That's actually what I was just talking about, guys.
2019, there was a high school technology teacher caught with illicit child material all over his computer. He is now in federal prison. In 2019, again, another English teacher from the area was caught and convicted for growing marijuana, trafficking marijuana, having possession of illegal firearms, and distributing to minors.
Wow.
2019.
Yeah.
So great. 2022, we've got Gregory Johnson, position principal, accused of ongoing physical and sexual abuse.
Let me just state that the first part of that, like distributing to minors, like I mean, I care about how minor they are, but at the same time, like, I guess that is kind of wrong, because it's like giving a cigarette to a kid. You wouldn't do that. So I guess I can see that. I was gonna say growing and having firearms on you, like, that's no big deal to me, at least. I don't do any type of drugs. I don't like pot. I think pot's nasty. I think it smells awful. But I have lots of friends that do. But yeah, I don't know. That isn't so much of a big deal. I care about the rape and stuff. The distributing to minor and stuff, it's on there, but it's not as bad as rape.
Of a student during the school year.
Yeah, that's messed up.
The outcome, there has been no criminal charges filed as of 2025, but there is a civil suit that is filed.
Yeah, that's messed up.
2022, failure to report abuse of a high school counselor. This is actually the case that Rich talked about, I believe.
Failure to report by a high school counselor?
Yes.
Not in 2022. Mine's 2024.
2022, a student reported being physically abused by her father multiple times, even showing video evidence. Yes, that's... Sorry, the date's wrong on that one.
That's all right.
We've got the Shane Cronin incident, which is also what we talked about. That is the man that attempted to kidnap 2 children. And then 2024, we have a music teacher in Buffalo Public School that
They're all teachers.
attempting to meet up with a 13-year-old girl for sexual acts, but it was actually an undercover.
Now, hear me out. I know of certain things that have happened inside my local high schools in my area. So I've had girls tell me that things have happened to them, and I've had some of the guys mention it to me. And I'm telling you, our schools are full of pedophiles. I'm telling you. I mean, they're full of pedophiles. There's people I know that are in places of power that have mentioned some of the weird stuff to me before. And I'm just saying that it goes on. I have no direct proof. If I did, I would go to the cops. But there should be an investigation on a lot of people around here too.
Sting operation. In 2025, a teacher accidentally gave THC-infused gummies to 2 students that landed them in the hospital.
Well, that's messed up.
And those are just a couple of the current cases that Buffalo School
That's
District
messed
has
up.
going on. And then we can get into the broader topic, and this is actually due to reporters doing their fucking job after they got called out repeatedly. This information was brought to light by one of, in my opinion, 2 good reporters in Buffalo that's actually doing investigative journalism. So this is from Nate Benson. And he filed FOIA requests with the BPD to get information on the stats of how many times the police department is called. Between September of 2021 and current time, Buffalo Police Department has had to respond to 17,772 calls at schools. Just of those are, we've got
messed up.
880 times that ambulances were required. We've got a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of threats, larceny, theft, juvenile trouble, lost property. More concerning stats, we've got 881 fights, 176 assaults. We've got 162 incidences of
The assaults and stuff like that, that's not so much of a concern for me. Yes, I mean, that's an awful number to have, but like, people get into fights in schools. Shit. I mean, I had a few of those. So, yeah, people just do that. I mean, you're a bunch of teenagers are together, you know, they're going to do teenage things. But some of the other stuff that he's about to mention.
The age of 12. We've got 126 assault incidences.
That's fucked up.
All of this is because when Rich came on the original podcast, he said that the school has some level of influence over school resource officers, SROs, and the school is using that influence to get them to not file things appropriately or bury the cases. Out of those 17,772 calls, 54% of them are listed under other, miscellaneous, or direct patrol. Direct patrol means it was just the SRO on site that responded. There's no further elaboration as to what 54% of those 7,000 calls were relating to. So assuming that it's just proportional, the amount of assaults would be double, if not more, and they're burying them and everything else. So
that's messed up.
That goes right in line with everything Rich said with things are not getting reported appropriately.
What the fuck? 52%?
54%.
54%?
Yeah, it's even worse than 50.
Are basically just lumped together under the miscellaneous category, and they have absolutely no idea.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
Pertaining to, and I believe the head of the BPD, the chief, was asked about it by the news and said he wasn't familiar with the stats and needed to look into it more.
Rich,
If
this
I
actually
may.
ties. I was going to say real quick. It actually ties in kind of with what Rich has with what you got presented a little bit. Brandon, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, if I may be so bold, it sounds like Buffalo Public Schools have a rocky past.
One would say that.
Bro, might it be controversial?
Maybe. I would say that would sound pretty controversial.
Yeah.
Enough about your rocky past. Let's talk about your rocky future.
Yeah, got to be rocky going forward. Cody, let me know if you ran into any of this, so you can echo it, because I feel like this is a nationwide thing. Like, I think that's why one of the reasons why the video got a lot of attention is a lot of
it's
people
nation
working around schools or closely with schools.
See, he knows it too. He's saying, once again, and I don't know if these purposely let that slip out or what, or if that was a slip or not, but he's saying it too. It's nationwide. This is a nationwide thing. This is not just isolated to Buffalo. This is much, much bigger than just Buffalo. So, yeah.
I've seen this happen, across the states. So when it comes to those 54% of calls that go under miscellaneous or information only, when I say hiding a call or killing a case, right, that could mean a couple of different things. And we'll talk about hiding a call or burying it, right? If I have a sexual assault between two children at the school, what the school will do sometimes is they'll call it in and make it information only or juvenile trouble, right? So these things do not elicit an investigation. There's no crime in information only or juvenile trouble. They're basically what they say they are. So in an information only, if Nick and I got in a verbal argument and we're neighbors, we don't get along, I might even say that he pushes my garbage can over 5 feet into my other neighbor's yard because he doesn't like me.
Right.
I'll call up 911. I'll get a report done. It'll be information only. The information will be that I don't get along with my neighbor and he keeps moving my garbage can. It's really just a way to keep historical track of an issue that somebody might have. Hey, I just want this on paper just to show a history of this type of action, right? There's no criminal aspect to it. There's no investigation.
Which is understandable.
What the schools will do is they'll have information brought in by a student, we'll say, who says, my friend or myself happens to be assaulted, right? They're reporting for themselves or reporting for one of their friends. And the school will take it. And for some reason, and I don't know why, they're worried that it's going to be labeled as another rape in their school, even if it's just it didn't happen here. I'm just telling you because you're my teacher and I trust you. Could have happened at home, right? And they're burying it under information only. So then no investigation goes through it. Hey, Janie said that she was touched, but it happened at home. We don't want the stigmatism of another call being here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it information only and then fill it out. Case closed. Hey, this person says that they were touched.
So fucked up.
We don't no further information. Case closed. Now, the only way that we can find that on BPD is if I search
that's so wrong
only at that address, which never happens. Why would I search information only? There's no criminal aspect to it. There's no investigation needed. And that's how they bury it.
When I was a police officer, if you go to the school, crime actually happened, you fill out the criminal report, and then it goes up the chain of command. The people above you are going to look at it. But as Rich said, information only reports, it just gets buried in the computer unless you want to go search for it.
So the big hidden treasure here, to whoever wants to find it, is literally going to be going through those 5,400 different cases and then looking at the narrative and saying, all right, what did the police officer write down, or what did the school tell the police officer here? And in one of my cases that I currently have, that I can't get into because I'm looking into it, but what I currently have is I have one of those where it's an where it's an information only, but the narrative states a sexual assault. And I'm investigating that currently. That is ongoing. I literally have in my possession that I'm investigating now, an ongoing investigation. That is exactly what I stated. Information only, not reported to SVU, unintentionally, accidentally discovered, and then given to me because we're like, why is this inappropriately labeled? Otherwise, we never would have saw it.
See, that right there, when you have a situation like that, then this is a problem with the police department too, because it was reported to the police, but it was categorized wrong. That's also a problem that we need to recognize that we have as a nation, and get on all of our police departments to start doing better with that. It's bad for the schools, and it's bad for the government in general. If anyone has a report, for instance, you have a student that comes in and gives you a report that their friend is being raped by their dad, you don't submit that as an information only. You I would want to, as a teacher, I would expect to hear results, and I would expect to have people tell me, hey, is, this kid okay? Like, is this really happening? Or is it not? I would expect it at least investigated by a police officer. Like, for them not to have anything like that investigated, or just to go like slip between the cracks, which I just can't believe that they have cracks for something like that, like that expression. It's just, it's absolutely maddening. And I can't imagine going through that as just in society in general.
Otherwise, some poor kid that's a victim potentially, because the investigation's ongoing, isn't getting any assistance.
Yeah.
Now they're getting assistance, but that's only because we looked through it and found it.
That's so messed up.
I saw a lot of people reaching out there like, this isn't just Buffalo public schools. I don't know why you guys are making a big deal of this. This isn't just a you thing. This happens everywhere. And I'm just thinking, like,
what the fuck?
That's not fucking good either. That's
it's even worse
to talk about that. How does that make this a non-issue? You just said it was an issue everywhere that isn't talked about.
Yeah. Having an issue everywhere.
If the world gets shown that a bunch of random podcasters can start looking at something and get a bunch of people fired,
yes,
maybe it'll set a precedent that everybody else will be like, oh fuck, maybe I should start doing my job. Or a bunch of podcasters that
Thank you
and burp are going to make sure I don't have one.
Yep. Thank you. Thank God somebody's saying it.
Offenders assemble. Oh, I can't do mine around to school.
They're coming. What is it? A whole bunch of autistic people? They're pissed.
Yes.
They're really upset. If now, while we're talking about,
you gotta love the autists.
My train of thought. If there is a Buffalo public school, or the Buffalo, if there's a parent of a child that goes to a Buffalo public school, and they're like, hey, you know what? My daughter or my son brought up that something happened at school, and I called up the school and I wanted a report done. I wonder if they mislabeled mine.
Yes.
Parents,
thank God. Yes.
Buffalo district house, Buffalo police district house. And they need to go to the report technician, the front desk, and say, hey, here's my ID. I'm so-and-so. So-and-so's my daughter, kid, whatever. I filed a police report with the school a while back and I never got a call. I'd like a copy of the report and just an update if there is one.
Everyone that has filed a report should be doing that if you have not got an update. Because I guarantee you, quite a few of you out there, if you haven't gotten a call back, it's because of some other reasons and you don't want to deal with that bullshit. Go and just do it.
And you're going to know then, if a report was even done for your incident.
Yeah, really.
The report technician behind the desk says there's nothing here for your kid. You would probably search it underneath your child's name.
Oh my gosh.
If they say, hey, there's no report for your kid, like period. Well, there you go. There's an incident of the school intentionally not reporting something that you called them to report. And then B, if you do get a report, note what is the headline? Is the headline information only? Is it miscellaneous? Is it something that they're trying to hide? Or is it exactly what happened? An assault, some sort of abuse.
On top of that,
I think I might have had a misunderstanding here.
Shout that out.
So it's not the police miscategorizing, it's the school reporting it wrong. Oh, well, that's even more messed up. The school obfuscating stuff through reporting wrong? Like that's messed up.
Take the high road at gmail.com. Take the HY road at gmail.com. And that's for any information, like if it's affecting you or you don't know what's going on or you're trying to shine some more light on it, please email that direct email.
Yeah.
Take the high road and tell us your story, because it is
guys,
one thing.
Please don't spam it either. Like, don't just flood it with, I heard about this case. Here's a news article. Like, this is if you have something that you feel like needs to get out there or would
firsthand.
If you were there and you witnessed a thing happen, if you're a first person and you saw it happen, or if you heard it from the person that saw it happen, that's it. And it'd be really great if you could give us dates, times, locations, and the names of those people involved.
I think the Buffalo public school system is handling the scrutiny terrific. Really. I mean, did you see what they did on Monday?
Oh my God.
Yeah, their statement.
Oh, no, that was on Sunday. Monday, they had independent auditors go to the administration building and walk around the hallways and try to ask people questions. And most people ignored them and stonewalled them, which
What?
I don't really fault that if random dudes with cameras were showing up at my place of work. I don't really blame them for that. But then one gentleman by the name of John M. Palmara in the finance office got so upset that they were asking questions about the Buffalo Public Schools deleting evidence. He said, I know what to do. I'll break their phone that they're recording on and destroy more fucking evidence. Good. What a way to set a precedent and show what you guys are all about. Great fucking work.
Holy shit. What?
Wild.
That is crazy.
Untruths.
And get arrested for it.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, yeah. News hasn't covered that one yet.
Wow.
Interesting point about their recorded like meetings.
Oh yeah, well, because it was the fact that like they're all available on YouTube. Like they live stream their board meetings. But this one, as soon as Detective High comes out on a podcast that is full of foul people, all of a sudden now they want to do a secret meeting that is not broadcast to YouTube, that the public is not available to go to.
Wow.
Journalists weren't allowed. They were kicked out. Journalists were kicked out of that exact same closed door meeting, which is
that's wild.
What do you think they might have talked about?
The journalists also said that there was significantly more security at that meeting. They said there's usually like 1 or 2 people, and this time they had like 10.
That's crazy.
So then the journalists went and started interviewing teachers since they didn't have anything else to do. And the teacher they interviewed said, I don't know anything about exactly what Detective High has highlighted, but it wouldn't surprise me because at least in the 20 years that he's been there, there's been a pretty big culture of downplaying or hiding violence and assaults altogether.
Some people might call that a clue.
There's a culture of downplaying violence and other incidents, like the officer is mentioning, in this district, really since I started over 20 years ago.
I also have a FOIA request in that got submitted today because the email that we set up already, somebody is...
Because you know the violence thing. When they're saying violence, they're not meaning physical, like, hey, we're going to have fisticuffs thing. They're meaning assaults, like sexual assaults. Like, totally that's what that guy's meaning.
Reached out and said that, I'm not going to say his name because we don't have any evidence yet, but allegedly there is a vice principal at a Buffalo School District school that has been moved around almost every year of his career, and he gets constantly moved around due to complaints of sexual assault and being oddly sexual near children, and he just keeps getting bounced around from school to school. So
there was a guy, a story about oh man, it was a while ago when I heard it, but it was about this guy that was overseas. He was an overseas teacher, and he used to take kids camping. And one of the things that he used to do is he put like sleeping pills inside like cookies and milk, and like rape the little boys and stuff like that when they were sleeping. It was really messed up. And like he killed himself when he got caught. But like this was going on for like years, and that's exactly what the school districts did. And his wife, I want to say, was like the head of the American like overseas schools. I want to say that, but I don't remember completely. But man, it was so messed up. I was watching it the other day, maybe about a month ago. I saw it.
The FOIA request out pertaining to all of the internal records with the Buffalo Public.
With some ghost hunters.
What?
Yeah, which that stuff drives me fucking crazy because people like it's the
you hear about it all the time.
This stuff right on like Facebook, like some of the people that don't like.
It's like the Catholic Church when they move around priests because they're sexually assaulting their acolytes and stuff like that. The school's the same thing.
Like rich that are like, I don't know why we're even talking about this. This happens with the Catholic Church all the time. It's
yeah.
Like, A, statistically speaking, it's way more likely to happen in public schools. B, we don't support that either.
Yep. We don't. I just mentioned it.
Statement, but
ironically,
that, abuse should be reported.
I haven't seen this, by the way.
Where it happens, it just so happens to be happening.
I have not seen this, by the way. So it's kind of funny that he mentions Herrera mentions it, and I just mentioned that.
Here, This isn't a tit for tat kind of game.
It's like we both have the same ideas and like we're reminded of the same things.
The hard evidence that we've got.
The new evidence that shows exactly what I've been talking about regarding the, oh man, my wife looks hot. Hi. We're recording a thing right now. You look hot though.
Leave this part in.
Hi. Cut that out.
So she doesn't want any part of this. She's got so much anxiety. It's bad. Yeah. So Nick, speaking of people emailing us and telling us, new and intriguing information that could be brought to light to show a history of, not working with police very well or intentionally mislabeling or even failing to report, I received an email from an individual at a school, and this individual said, "Hey, Rich, you came to my school last year, and
just so we can actually read this. So let's read this together. I am a school counselor at blank and was told I could not speak to you. So, could never provide this statement from a student. I was never speak to you. So could never provide the statement from me. Okay. Basically our admin blank went home to the burbs knowing a girl reported a rape, delaying a rape kit. They never even called you guys until blank, halfway through the next day. A bunch redacted. The kids said there was video. I'm convinced they never tried to get the video. Also earlier in the year, a girl was sexually assaulted, groped, and fondled by several boys while being pushed against a wall, and my admin never reported it, claimed it was horseplay. She ended up moving to another state with a relative, but because she couldn't feel safe in the school. These aren't just students to me either. They are my neighbors and community. A quick Google search of my name would tell you that I have dedicated my life to advocating for people, but blank years at BPS has Buffalo Public Schools, I guess, has almost broken me. Don't even know if these kids will have a counselor. Oh, have a counselor next year. Okay. So, there we go.
You were investigating a sexual assault on one of our students. This person didn't say exactly who told them that that they were not allowed to talk to me. But this person also had a statement from the student. Not the student that was assaulted, but the student's friend that was one of the people that she confided in. I forget the actual term that we use for it in policing, but whenever somebody confides their sexual assault to a friend, it's like their first utterance of it happening. That's a big deal. We notate the date and time and what that person was told by that individual, and it grants credence and validates the victim's story, right? Instead of just a he said, she said, there's other people involved, which is what we want. More eyes, more statements, more voices to solidify exactly what happened. So I'm going to read what this child wrote in a statement, and then I'll go over why it's a big deal.
Just to be clear, before you read the statement, just so I understand exactly what's happening. You investigated this, you solved the case, you closed the case.
Yes.
And this individual at the school, either a teacher, a counselor, whoever, was given this written information by the student and then was told she was not allowed to give it to you, the detective that was actively investigating this assault.
That's correct.
That's freaking. That is so bad.
After the fact, because the administration withheld evidence intentionally in a sexual assault case.
That's crazy. That is crazy wrong.
Failure to report and obstruction of justice.
Yep.
I mean, I would say so.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're
totally
witness tampering. I mean, I don't know if you really do witness tampering.
Witness tampering.
That's kind of a stretch, but basically evidence was available. This person wanted to share it with me, and then they were told not to share it with me.
Jeez.
Not to even talk to me.
Jeez.
And get ready for this. Get ready for this. All right, so I'm going to read it now. If you could please bleep out, I'm not even going to say the names, but please black out the names of those that are suspects, because the names mentioned in here could come up as a part of a new investigation for failure to report. So we're going to leave the names of the suspects out. I'm just going to say,
thank God,
Teacher A.
Go after their asses. Get them. Get
Tuesday, October 22nd, I told Miss Blank that the victim got raped in the auditorium. She said, I'm not the right person to tell, and she took me to Miss Blank in the office. I told Miss Blank, today, the victim came late to a different teacher's class because she got raped in the auditorium. Miss Blank asked, is there any proof? Which is not what you ask a child.
Yeah,
when they're reporting this.
That's so not.
The victim's friend stated, yes, there is a video. Miss Blank asked, who was the boy? I said suspect, and she said, okay. She said she would handle it tomorrow. She would handle it tomorrow. I thought she was going to do something or pull us in the morning and talk about it. But then the half of the 7th grade knew, so we told Miss Blank.
7th grade?
Nothing was done. Miss Blank was in shock and said, give me 5 minutes. We walked away from Miss Blank and the victim started crying. So we went to go look for Miss Blank. Signed, the victim's friend who made this statement.
So fucked up.
2 days after. So in case you're not picking up what I'm putting down here, there was an assault on a child. The child.
And they did nothing about it. The administration did nothing about it. Those people deserve to be hanged. Like, seriously, if we were back in the day with lynching still, man, they would have been lynched. They should be lynched.
Child made statements to her friend, hey, I got assaulted.
I can't believe that they would just allow.
Goes to teachers and says, hey, so-and-so was assaulted.
That is so infuriating.
So teacher A, is there multiple teachers?
Well, there's multiple teachers.
Okay, so teacher A is the first one.
This is so infuriating.
Teacher A is first. Hey, we're going to go to teacher A and we're going to tell her. Teacher A says, oh, this ain't in my job description. Let's go to teacher B, which is fine. Whatever. You go to another teacher. She goes to teacher B. Teacher B says, where's the proof? Do you have any proof? Which is not how you say things to a child. There's ways that you interview children. This is not one of them.
It's almost like people that work in the education system aren't qualified to conduct their own investigations.
Yeah, really.
Mother of God, Nick, you nailed it on the head.
Wow.
Yep.
Fucking crazy. Makes you wonder how well all the investigations they've performed in the past have turned out.
So this goes on.
This is the end. This is like all the movement that ever happened on this case.
Well, I'll go into a little bit what happened afterwards.
I mean, the guy has a good point. I don't know if you guys had good experiences in school. My experience in school, it sucked. Like I did not want anything to do with it. Boy, just hearing that, because it's a good point. You saw how well, because I mean, if you've been through school and if you're still going to school, oh my God, I'm so sorry for you. But I went through school. I saw how good the teachers were at investigating things. I got in trouble for things I didn't do all the time because, you know, whatever, they had a feeling I did something or something, whatnot. Really, one of the first times I got like expelled from school or suspended, not expelled, suspended, was a guy punched me in the face, and yeah, and they considered me part of a fight, so I was suspended for fighting. And then after that, I was like, you know what? Fine. If somebody hits me, I'm going to hit them back. Yeah. Freshman year, high school.
To give it like a full picture. But in this scenario, in this child's statement, so she goes to teacher A, goes to teacher B. Teacher B says, you know, well, what happened? Is there proof? Yeah, there's video. And then says, all right, we'll talk about it tomorrow. No, you fucking don't. You report that shit immediately, because if there's video going around of that kid getting assaulted all over school, That's got to get nipped in the butt right away. You can't have that. You've got underage kids doing it. Guess what that's called? There's a term for that.
Rape.
And it's getting spread around the school.
It's getting shared, like, and they have no, in your, but again, 7th grade, going to an adult and saying, hey, this just happened. Happened. And there's video evidence that is fucking asinine to go, I'll look into it tomorrow.
Dude.
That's just pure rage of especially your own kids. And then you hear this. It's fucking wild. The first response is, I'll look into it tomorrow.
So then after nothing happened, then they went to teacher C, another teacher.
I think they went to a third individual, teacher, whatever. I think it was teacher. And
I can't believe that.
I believe that teacher, let me just double check. I want to, so in the morning, nothing happened. But then, that following day, half of 7th grade already knew what was going on. So then they went to teacher C and said, give me 5 minutes. And that teacher, I believe, was the one that started, notifying school individuals and other things like that.
That's so messed
got
up.
The ball rolling. Thank God. So I showed up a day, maybe 2 after.
So teacher C is the one that gathered this statement from the 7th grader and then was told by the administration she was not allowed to work with you or turn evidence over to you.
I'm not sure. I'm just for anonymity's sake. There are like 5 people named in this document, and I'm not sure. I don't even want to say that the person that gave it to me is labeled in there or isn't labeled in there. I'm going to give them a little bit of anonymity just because I don't want their shit to blow up. Right. The person that gave me this information or that forwarded the complaint may or may not be in this document. Good fucking luck figuring that out. But I did receive it. So, boom. The end result of this investigation, thank God, was that it was determined not to be an assault. We ironed everything out. I don't want to get in, these kids' businesses, but it was basically a very emotional reaction to the videos being spread, embarrassment, etc. Right? And by the way, these are children. They're scared. They don't know what's going on. Their brains aren't fully developed. They're doing adult activities and recording them, not understanding the repercussions. It was a mess that we sifted through. But because of that mess that we sifted through, that we investigated, because I don't know if people know this, but as a detective, especially when it comes to kids, my job isn't to arrest a 16-year-old or 12-year-old or 8-year-old. My job is to determine if a crime happened and then also to get these kids assistance, especially when it comes to like mental health awareness and getting them to like the Child Advocacy Center, the Family Justice Center, and getting them counseling, which is exactly what happened. We determined that a crime hadn't been committed. We moved forward. We got these kids on both sides help. And everybody is okay. Nobody's in jail. What do you know? Cops don't just arrest everybody when they show up.
Yeah.
With no help from the school system.
Honestly, I thought that the school was phenomenal. I went there and I worked with them. One of the principals or both of the principals were giving me information. They were calling me up. They were wondering about updates. There were teachers in the school that like wanted answers right away. And the principal was like, hey, listen, our school's upset about this. We're looking for this. We'd like information when you can get it to us. I thought it was phenomenal. And then I get smacked with this. So even when I think that I'm getting treated amazing and I have a great relationship with the people at this school, there's somebody within the school. I don't know who. I don't know who yet. I asked this question. I haven't gotten a response yet. So I'm waiting. Somebody in that school, somebody still was like, don't help the cops. Don't give them this statement. It's going to look like we failed to report, which you did.
Yeah, because you said that like it was later determined that there was no crime was actually committed. But
Correct.
the school didn't know that at the time. For all the school knew, that could have been a full-blown that they were making sure they did not cooperate with your investigation at all.
That's exactly right.
Thank you. That is the exact point that I wanted to hit on. And you brought it up before I could. Thank you, Brandon. The point of this whole entire thing is that at the time, this was a very real investigation regarding the sexual assault of a child.
Yep.
So how in the world, without knowing anything other than that, than the victim's statement of what happened, and they're now being video passed around the school, would you be like, you know what we should do? We should still withhold this from the detectives who are doing the investigation.
Freaking wild.
Mind blowing.
It's just speechless of that.
I haven't stopped it for a while, so like I'm gonna have to stop it just to make sure that all the copyright things are fine and stuff like that with it. I know I hate having to do it, but I gotta comment on it. So basically, the school was trying to hide an investigation, and the cop, obviously, Rich, was looking to have it investigated. He thought it was all cool and stuff like that, but then he finds out that the people within the school were trying to conceal certain, facts and stuff like that from him, which is messed up. It's messed up. It's so messed up. I don't have words for it. I mean, you hear this type of stuff and it makes you angry. I know it makes me angry. It makes me furious to hear that kids are being treated like this. Yeah.
Idea of let's delay it and now don't talk to the police. Giving a direct, because as you said, they were told not to work with the police.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's messed up. Like, that should never happen. That should not be allowed. That should not be okay. That should not be, acceptable. Any type of way. And, teachers would get so pissed if the students didn't, report something, let alone something like this. That's messed up.
Correct.
And that's fucking disgusting.
Welcome to my world. Maybe now Channel 4 can get off my back and they can say, oh, well, I guess there is information. Because let me tell you, the hardest part for me, like as an individual, like if I'm being selfish, right? The hardest part for me so far is knowing the information that I've investigated on these cases, but not being able to share it with the news or you guys.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Part of an investigation that's ongoing, or it's something that I know because of my job, and I can't give away too much information because otherwise I could be held accountable for violating the media policies of my department.
Yep. Being an officer, a cop, must be extremely frustrating because it's like the perspective I have on God, like how much he has to put up with and know that humans are doing evil and stuff like that. And he can't really do anything about it because we have free will. I feel like the same way that Rich feels with the cops, I would lose it. I would lose it. There's no way I could be a cop. I do not have the moral fortitude or the stamina or any of that to have to deal with that type of stuff. I'd be kick ass and let's go with our pitchforks, let's burn this mother. But the fact that you have to be silent, you have to be cool, you have to be calm. Have you ever watched the interrogation videos? There's all kinds of them on YouTube. Watch an interrogation video and you can see the cop never really lets out how angry he is, but deep down when he's dealing with a murderer or something like that, he's pissed and he wants to get the information, but he knows that if he shows he's pissed off, that the guy's just gonna clam up, and yeah, I mean, and him, he knows that they can get away if he lets out too much information, and you can actually have a criminal get away. That's messed up. And you have to just be quiet about it, and investigate it and go through the whole investigation, even though this guy did something.
Now this is different. This case is closed. I still haven't given away any information that you couldn't get from a FOIA request on a closed case, no longer open, closed. And this was given to me as a civilian by another civilian. This document that was given to me had nothing to do with me being on the job. I was off. They sent it to my personal email. That's how they got this information to me. They gave this to Angry.
Hell yeah.
Not Detective High. So now I can talk about it. And I know everything about this case because it was my case. But that's the hardest thing that has been, is watching people shit on me.
Imagine that.
Because I can't give them everything right off the rip.
Imagine that. You have a separate personality online, right? And you're given information about a case you actually had. This is what he has to experience. This is a case that he had, that he himself had, and he was working on. And as a civilian, he gets information about his own damn case. Like, that would be insane. That'd be insane. That would drive me up a wall. Holy cow, poor Rich.
Got to ask for a FOIA request because I'm already on thin ice. I'm already going out and being a fucking whistleblower. I'm already putting, the spotlight on my city and my department.
I mean, you're doing it.
I can't do anything more without literally just ruining my reputation with my department.
Yep.
And then just going through files and just sending everybody stuff. And then I would completely understand if I was unhinged like that and just gave everything away, that I would be suspended. So I can't cross that line.
Yeah.
And again, you are even make us, like Nick, as you said earlier, you submitted a FOIA request. So did I. We are doing it the right way because Rich is following the rules that he has to follow. And he's like, hey, here, like, you have to do it this way. He's just like, here's how you submit for that. And we have to follow those guidelines. But that's going to be a week to a month to get this shit out, get the ball rolling on that stuff. And it's delay. And unfortunately, with the internet or something like this, 2 weeks on the internet, it's fucking gone. People forget about it. So that's why right now it's, hey, update, here you go, roll this out so these people are actually held accountable for their actions or lack thereof.
I hope people,
as far as that stuff goes, with the
and what you guys can do, once again, a few days after you see this, and if you're a streamer or something like that, you can release your own and just keep this in the cultural zeitgeist. Let people see it. Let people see it, And after so long, so many days goes by without an update, just release a video of them and just re-show this. That way it stays relevant. Keep it in people's minds. Like, I can't stress how important that is for a story like this. Just keep it in people's minds because this is important.
With the department itself, is it productive? Because I saw a lot of people like calling people within the Buffalo Police Department and stuff like that. Is that the way you would recommend going about it, or is that just going to make things hard for you? Because to my understanding, the Buffalo Police Department is the one that is upset about being stonewalled about this.
So if you want to call somebody and make a complaint, call the Board of Education, call the mayor. If you want to see an investigation that is beyond the Buffalo Police Department, which at this point I believe it should be, right? There's so many moving pieces that the district attorney's office is involved because the schools are ignoring subpoenas by them. They're not assisting. They're obstructing investigations by the Buffalo Police Department.
It gets worse. It gets worse.
Right? When you have the district attorney's office, the Buffalo Police Department, and you could even go with like New York State Bar, like because lawyers aren't responding to subpoenas. There's the U.S. Board of Education. When you have all these things together, you can't have all these individual investigations going on and not talk to one another. So in a perfect world, somebody a step above the district attorney's office and the Buffalo Police Department would be investigating this, whether it be the AG's office, the U.S. attorneys, the FBI, the New York State Bar. But the bar is more towards, lawyers that do something incorrectly, not really criminal aspects of it. Even, the AG Pam Bondi's office, the AG, that's where I think where the investigation needs to go. So people like tagging them, emailing them, that I think is where it needs to go.
Pam Bondi's seen this. Pam Bondi's seen this story.
Not is to have family members.
It's such a large story now.
Out of these kids that think that they reported something to the school and that the school did the right thing and reported it to the police. is those people need to go to a Buffalo Police District station house and request the report with their child's name on it. Bring your ID, and then you'll know. Was there a report even done, or was it intentionally mislabeled, or was it done appropriately? And if it wasn't, you feel free to email takethehighroad@gmail.com.
Great idea, by the way.
Well, yeah, who thought up of Take the High Road? Was it Eli?
It was the other. I think that was fucking the people, right, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I suggested it, but that idea came straight from the comment section. It just kind of became the official slogan of all of this.
High Road was taken. So Show was like, I got Take the High Road. I was like, Show, that's beautiful.
It's Take the High Road at
yeah,
gmail.com?
HY. Yep, HY.
That's one of the many, many instances of our army of autists coming in clutch to make sure that this happens.
And I
That's
really
awesome.
appreciate them. It was rough the first couple of days trying to deal with this. And then, I made my little video saying, hey, thanks for the support. I appreciate it. By the way, to everybody that's been pooping on me back home, I'm in Boston trying to find the missing children of Buffalo. So thanks. And that video got a lot of positive comments, and it definitely rubbed my tummy, made me feel a little bit better.
We might have to cut this part, but I just got another email.
Oh,
what'd you get?
One of the directors of the Buffalo Public Schools Safety and Security is a fired Buffalo police officer that was handed the job by Kreiner Cash because he was his driver. The news refused to report on this after the McKinley shooting took place a few years back. He has been investigated internally several times for his treatment of employees. I thought this might interest you. I would really like to remain anonymous. And then they sent me several links regarding this.
Was he fired? Did it say fired Buffalo cop?
It says fired Buffalo cop.
Oh, but that's
hard.
not a fucking red flag.
I mean, it's fairly hard to get fired as a cop in Buffalo. You guys are union too.
For union, we just fired a couple people. You gotta mess up pretty good, and when you mess up pretty good, you're gone. Like that.
That, and I imagine there's a lot of people that really rich to have been fired over the years, and he's still here. He's still kicking.
Thanks, India Walton.
That's concerning. So, wow. So yeah, basically, if you get fired as a cop, you have to have sexual assaulted somebody or gross negligence or freaking killed a guy. You just don't get fired as an officer for petty shit. That's bad.
Whoa. So what next would just be any worries from you for before we close this out? What are your worries?
I've got one more. I forgot, but basically a preschool either teacher's aide.
Oh my gosh.
This is preschool kids. In order to discipline the kids in preschool, she would put them in the bathroom and turn off the lights and then put her foot against the door so the kid's going to get out.
What?
Well, that's fucking
and
mean.
What the hell?
That's sensory deprivation. That's how you
That's torture.
An unusual punishment.
So you're doing this to a 4-year-old.
This is
what the hell?
This is how problems start, and that's so many different problems with that fucking situation. You have, again, you're shutting a kid in darkness, creating a new fear. Also, then you're going to have the repercussions of, hey, this is an adult I'm supposed to trust. Now you're breaking trust. Now you're not going to, you're going to have anxiety around adults. You're not going to trust, or you're going to have confusion of who to trust and who not to trust, and fear. As you get older, that is just a world of so messed up to do to a 4-year-old.
That's
lasting.
That's criminal.
That person is still. I have their name. That person is still at the school. That person's just not allowed in that classroom anymore.
Wait,
that's so stupid.
They weren't fired.
That's so
They're
fucking.
still in the same school.
They're still around, kids?
Oh my gosh!
I believe the email.
Seriously, that shit's pissing me off. What is wrong with people? That's like when you see on those videos like on TikTok and stuff like that, like those, of like the daycare workers, and they're like scaring the kids. Like, you should be fired and your ass should be canned for that. Like, what the hell? Why is it that people need to torture little kids, especially in the formative years of their life? Like, they will develop wrong. They will have, like, well, it's already been pointed out. But I mean, holy crap. Holy crap, that's so messed up.
Still an active teacher, they're just not allowed to teach kindergartners anymore. So
yeah, that's great.
Kids in the bathroom with no lights, as long as they're tall enough to activate the light switch, apparently.
Do you have any idea how hard
Holy
it is to
shit.
violate the 8th Amendment rights of a kindergartner? Like, I did not have that on my bingo card, but all right.
Jesus. Yeah, they're both still working at the school, and I have the person's name.
Do we have FOIA requests out for that yet?
No, I only have the person's last name.
Okay, I can write one today.
Okay.
So what is the next, what are any fears that what are your big...
Okay, so just to make it clear, the 8th Amendment, Brandon Herrera mentioned it, so I figured I would, just in case, because I know a lot of people don't know the amendments very well. It's freedom from excessive bail, fines, and cruel punishments. So that's basically what the 8th Amendment covers, and what he means is it's cruel, unusual punishment.
Biggest fears with this, like going unacknowledged,
is that there's no continued investigation. Like, there's no investigation.
There's going to be an investigation.
Public schools are saying that they're doing their own third-party investigation.
No, fuck them.
Which doesn't mean jack shit to me, right? They're buying
That's bullshit.
their own lawyer, their own investigator to do an investigation on themselves.
Yeah.
What's going to happen when that investigator finds a criminal aspect to this? Like, failing to report is it's a crime in New York State. It's New York State Penal Code, and I forget what the number is, but it's a mandated reporter not reporting.
Like,
that is
like hell.
It's a misdemeanor that you can be arrested for, right?
Yeah.
So what are they going to find? What are they going to do when they find that a crime has been committed and that people have failed to report?
They're going to label it information only.
Oh God.
Label it information only and bury that shit. So honestly, unless it's the this is, like I said, there's so many moving parts, especially with the DA's office not having subpoenas be responded to, that this is above the Buffalo Police Department.
Yeah,
it has to be
this
at a
is
minimum the DA's office. At a minimum, the DA's office has to do an investigation.
There should be a federal investigation to be
silent so far,
which is disheartening.
I don't care what anyone says. That this should be federal. I don't care. This has to be federal, because stuff like this going on inside just the school district. Well, like I said, it has to do with more than just this one. It does. They've said it. Everyone knows it. I mean, if you gone to a school locally, stuff that's been covered up. So, yeah.
Because I don't know how anybody could look at this and say, I think that sticking up for kids is going to make us look bad.
Is there the election coming up?
Not for another 3 years, but I got a long fucking memory.
Brother, listen.
Just for a personal note to the DA, there's currently a civil suit that just got settled in 2023 for $10 million because a man was sexually assaulted when he was a child, and he was sexually assaulted when he was 11 years old.
Jeez.
And what ended up happening with this case in 1978 was he was caught by Buffalo PD receiving acts from an 11-year-old in his car at a park, and the cops arrested him immediately and tried to press charges and have charges pressed, obviously for acts with an 11-year-old. And what ended up happening was, because this gentleman was connected and had friends, the DA and a local judge received I forget what you call it, but essentially letters from people vouching for his credibility.
Like character witness.
He had character witness letters, and then he was evaluated by a psychiatrist that said he probably won't do it again. So
he won't do it again. Just trust me. Wink, wink.
He then went on to be a sitting board member of the Lovejoy Elderly and Youth Program for years, where he presumably sexually assaulted more people. So
what the hell? What?
You can be that DA, or you can be the DA that does your fucking job. Up to you.
Holy shit. Like, it keeps getting worse. I don't get this. I don't get this. What is New York? New York. What is wrong with your state? What is wrong with your state? Holy shit.
Yeah, we would love nothing.
I hate New York, by the way. I hate New York State. I hate the government there. I hate it. And it seems like it's just such a cesspool. They don't call it the rotten apple for nothing.
More than to give huge kudos to somebody for cracking down on this and being the person to blow this wide open. You know, if an investigation actually happened and people lost their jobs,
yes,
went to jail over
please
this, over just basic accountability, we would love to just applaud them for doing that. But instead, everybody seems like their immediate action is just to stonewall even harder, pretend they're investigating, and attack Rich's character. And if that's the way you want to fucking play this, we can do this all day.
So it's pretty much an open offer to anybody that wants to grow a spine and do the right thing. Everybody in this video right now can build up a person and their career just as fast as we can tear it down. So if you're going to be the person that steps in and does the right thing, we're going to be in your fucking corner.
Yes, of course.
Or promoted
of course.
Doing the right thing.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. You have our full weight, and I guarantee our community's weight behind you too.
Yeah, this isn't just one way, trolling, we just want to attack people. No, we just want the right fucking thing to happen, and we're willing to do whatever's necessary.
Especially kids. Like,
yep.
Anything with children, special needs, anyone that needs help, doesn't have a voice, that is our job, like, to protect them, to help them, to guide them. They are our future.
Yes.
Oh, I'm getting the look, boys.
Okay. Yeah, you Rich, thank you.
Do you look fat? No, you don't look fat. You look adorable. You're not a fat sausage. I'll help you tie them, and we're closing right now. You're welcome. She's pretty, and she deserves a night out because she's been stressed because of my life, and I also haven't seen her a bunch, so I gotta give the woman props. She's been amazing through this.
Well, Rich, thank you so much.
All right. So this is the end of their conversation. The video has like 2 minutes left. I don't think anything's gonna really come up. But there is the other one that I saw in the preview thing that I made together and like had the news clips. I found out just like in the middle of recording this that he did another interview. So I figured we might as well include the other interview. So let's go. This is Black Rifle podcast. So yeah, more updates, more getting this out.
Thank you for jumping on with me real quick. It is Friday right now. And I basically wanted to talk to you, give you the platform.
I am right in the way.
Say everything that you're going through right now. The situation is ongoing. And before we get into it real quick, will you...
There, I'll be right here.
A quick background on yourself?
Sure. So, Rich, hi. I run the social media account Angry Cops on a bunch of different platforms, mainly YouTube, and growing on Twitter because of all the shit talking that's going on. I was in the Army for a while. I still am now as a part-timer, as a reservist, as a drill sergeant in a drill sergeant reserve unit, and I'm also a Buffalo police officer. Well, I'm a detective for the Buffalo Police Department in our specific unit.
Okay. And so basically laid out for me, man, and the audience, what's going on, starting with...
Also, Black Rifle, please don't, do the thing, with the copyright strikes. Be cool. I want to get this out too. Like, the children are more important. Like, I'm not doing this for any money or anything like that,
The Unsubscribe podcast and the video that you guys did over there and what has transpired since then.
Sure. So a couple weeks ago, probably going on like 3 now, I went down to San Antonio to shoot a podcast with the boys.
and I had planned on bringing up the issues that I was having with the Buffalo schools. And so we went through, the hour and a half, 2 hour long podcast, and they were like, okay, cool, we're going to go into extra time. A lot of people support the channel. There's a Patreon. We're going to do 30 minutes for the Patreon, give them that extra stuff because we appreciate them, and let's go. And I was like, all right, cool. Hey, can I hijack this for a second? And I want to say something. And
thank God he did.
I want to say something, and then we'll go from there. They're like, sure. So the next 40 minutes is a conversation that I lead, and it goes into a couple of different cases that I've dealt with or that I've known about, that I've worked alongside, may not be mine. And all these cases have a similar subject. And the subject is that in some way, shape, or form, the Buffalo public school system is intentionally preventing Buffalo Police Department and the district attorney's office from investigating assaults, sexual assaults, and other 911 calls / investigations. And because of that, sexual assaults are being underreported or hidden, and the victims aren't getting the care that they deserve. And the other thing is also that it's creating more victims.
Yeah, that's the layout of how this all started. So, yeah.
And so I put that out in, not so eloquent as I did now, unfortunately, because once that story came out,
That's what you had to do, though, man.
In just a matter of days, it's already passed 1 million views. I think it touched a lot of people. You and I were talking about it a minute or two ago. You're a father now. When you start seeing these things happen around you, it strikes a different key, and you go, hey, what if this was my child?
We're going to skip ahead to
it took off. Now,
when
unfortunately, I wasn't expecting every attention on that. Fat boy. And the other one was I got a car accident, which happens, as you're a police officer. And that was it. So they tried to kind of discredit what I was saying and what I was doing based on, old investigations that literally led to what I just said.
Okay.
On Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been Friday, was the day that the video came out and was really garnering a lot of attention. They put out a statement that was, we don't think that this happened. It's unfortunate that this person has made these allegations. These are all untruths you'll look into. And it's very intentional to use untruths and not lies, because you can't be sued for defamation, right? They're just saying, well, the information that he put out is just an untruth. It's not the truth. They're not saying that I put out a lie.
Also, if anyone
you're speaking, it sounds like it doesn't make a difference.
hold on. Also, if anyone else has any new stuff that's out there and wants to send it to me, please put in a link and I will make another episode of this. Because, like I said, anytime anything that has to do with child abuse cases or just things that government corruption that has to do with this type of stuff, I will always post about it. That's what I do. I know that stuff happens, and I know if you don't have a voice, it can suck. And if I can do anything to give somebody a voice, even if they have a bigger voice than I do, just if I can reach a couple of extra people and get people's eyes on something or ears on something, that's how you make a movement.
These different phrases and words do. So they put out untruths. And then a couple days later, once the weekend had done, Monday morning, they decided, hey, we're going to do a meeting, the Buffalo Public Schools, and when they're open to the public, they're all live streamed. This one was not, surprisingly. Wonder why. Potentially because the comment section might get a little rowdy, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
And instead of, which I can appreciate, instead of trying to back down or stand up and buck up and push back on what I had said, they said that we take it seriously and we're going to do a third-party investigation, which is the minimum I think you could do to show that you're taking it seriously. Now, personally, if
let's just say I wasn't involved in this as an outsider looking in. If I'm an outsider looking in and in no way connected to this story whatsoever, having a non-law enforcement entity do an internal investigation on itself, purchasing said lawyers from some third-party group, I would think there could be room for some sort of corruption.
Yeah, really.
I'm superintendent. You're my friend through another friend that nobody really knows about.
Yep.
We're going to use your legal firm to look into this, and then you're going to tell us what you find.
Yeah, and once again, handshakes like that happen all the time in government. And most of the time it's petty stuff. It's like not really that big of a deal. But with issues like this, a handshake is when you know the guy that's doing it, and you're like, oh, you didn't find anything, did you? You handshake them, and you're like, no, I didn't find anything at all. That's what a handshake is. And it happens all the time. And people hear stories about that all the time.
And I say I don't really trust that because it's not a legal law enforcement
Yep.
department.
Something as serious as this is a much bigger
What
issue.
they're going to find, let's say it's criminal,
Mhm.
what are they going to do with it?
Yep.
They're going to turn over all this investigated, like all the evidence that they've collected to a law enforcement?
No. Of course.
No. Are they? Like, if they find something, or are they going to hold on to it and say, well, we found some people made some mistakes, but it's nowhere near as far as what, Detective High is saying, which is what I'm expecting. So we're in the process now where myself, the guys that run the Unsubscribe podcast, Brandon Herrera, Cody, donut operator, Nick, the fat electrician, and Eli Double Tap, where we are now basically kind of spearheading an investigation of our own, and we're trying to have the students, teachers, administrators, and parents come forward and say, hey, what have you seen that would back up what I've said? I kind of blown the whistle on. And even before we've done that, we just created a Gmail account. It's literally takethehighroad@gmail.com, but high is spelled like my last name, HY. The guys are trying to be funny with it, and it works. So it's takethehighroad@gmail.com, and you can push information forward. We'd like names, we would like the school, would like some sort of date, whether what school year it was or semester, that we can kind of have.
That way you can investigate it.
A more narrow view of where to look.
Yeah, I mean, it would be easy to investigate that way, if you had that type of, detail,
And even before we had that put up, which is going public now, like as of right now, it's out there. We already put tweets out and said, hey, if you have any information, please send it to this email address. The reason we're doing that is because a lot of us are getting just random emails to our merchandise websites and saying, hey, I have this. And
hey, Deb.
And I have something. I'm not going to talk about it right now because I got to do a little bit more information on it. I know it's true. It has to do with one of my old cases, and basically it's a representative of the school saying, "Hey, you are a detective. You came here to this school, and they withheld a significant amount of information from you regarding an investigation that you conducted and even closed." So, very excited to kind of verify a little bit more information and really dig deep into that, because from my point of view, I'm still trying to keep my job. I like being a cop. It's the best.
Right. Yeah. It's understandable too. Hey, Deb, we're just looking over child sexual abuse allegations on Buffalo, New York, the school district. Yeah. As casual of a subject that is. So, yeah.
So there are limits to what I can say.
Also, he's a good cop. You can tell he's passionate about what he does. And he seems like a pretty good guy. Like, he's not going out there to arrest, people that don't actually deserve to be arrested. Like, he wants to get the real bad guys out there, not necessarily, the random Joe Blow. You know what I mean?
Say And I also, just as
To fill a quota.
standpoint, I don't want to.
He's a detective too, so.
Paint an ongoing investigation. Some of these things are open cases, you know, and I'm never going to give away a victim's information. Just that's the standard. I won't
Yeah.
give away a victim's information, not until like that goes to court and then it can come out, right? I try not to give out suspects' information because once again, I don't want to get in trouble for saying something off duty.
Yeah, of
If
course.
I give away the specifics of a case that's ongoing, obviously that can mess with the investigation. I don't want any part of that. I'd like to keep my job.
Yeah,
But
really.
This piece of information that I got is part of a case that's closed. It's closed. It's done. And this is additional information that I received as a civilian. So I can actually talk about this, and I'm very excited to do that.
Okay. So there's a lot going on here.
There is.
Well, so the first question I have is regarding this third party investigation, right? So say they do find something.
Okay, so this is the external oversight.
They were withholding information or they weren't conducting themselves properly. Doesn't that just come back to the police department anyway?
No.
How so? What do you mean?
Well, if they say, okay, there was something that wasn't handled correctly, and then where does that go from there? Doesn't that go back to the investigative unit, which would be
No.
So there's a couple ways of going about that, right? What I would like is I would like a larger agency that's not the city of Buffalo Police Department, to investigate the Buffalo Public Schools, like the Attorney General's office of New York State, the United States Attorneys, the Erie County District Attorney's office. I would really prefer that they take it out of Buffalo's hands, because like I'm the whistleblower, right? So then they can interview us, right? Because that's what's going to happen, right? You're going to have a lot of cases that were either already brought up to the Buffalo Police Department or that were not brought up to the Buffalo Police Department. And those two things, right? Let's just focus on the ones that already have been brought up to the Buffalo Police Department. You're going to have somebody interview those detectives and police officers and say, what was your involvement? What did they give you? Did you request this? Did you receive this? And because you're going to have a lot of people interviewing law enforcement personnel, for transparency, and also just I think that you would have a better. Nobody likes talking to internal affairs. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not internal affairs. You have an outside agency. You don't have to have that fear of some sort of reprisal coming back to you in like the department, if that makes sense. You know, if you're working with everybody in like one Burger King and you know something's going down, and then the manager of the entire thing,
The district manager.
fucking problem here. You know, I'm in charge of all this shit. Well, you're probably going to spill a little bit more to the guy that's up, because he's going to keep you separated. You know, keep that space between you and any sort of reprisal and your Burger King. Same thing for the Buffalo Police Department, right? The district attorney's office, which I think is the lowest level that could handle this investigation, would be great, because they would just call us in one at a time and be like, hey, listen, we're not the Buffalo Police Department. We're Erie County District Attorney's Office. What happened? You were involved with this thing. And then they can piece all of that together.
Okay.
That's yes, the unreported ones could go to Buffalo, and then we could investigate those. But as a whole, because there's already been investigations that have been like halted, it involves us already. It's I would prefer, and I think a lot of people in law enforcement and in definitely like when it's legal, the law, what am I trying to say? Like the district attorney side, like the attorney side, right? Prosecution would prefer that an agency above or separated from the Buffalo Police Department do that investigation.
And hey, it's time for me to interrupt it again just a little bit. So I'm going to make commentary to make sure this isn't copyrighted. So anyways, basically what he's saying is he wants an external investigation so people are more honest. Because sometimes when you have people in front of, you know, their bosses, they're not going to necessarily tell the truth. They're going to be like, no, I didn't do that. What are you talking about? Or, no, Susie Q didn't do that. Or, Jim Bean didn't do that. Of course not. But then if they're talking to somebody that's higher than their boss, they might actually say it. You know, so that's basically what he was saying.
Right. Okay.
So he agrees with me.
And from your perspective too. So when I initially saw the unsubscribe episode, I was expecting a response that was from a public facing entity.
Yep. I was too.
It's like, we can't believe this. We're on this. We're investigating this. We need to figure this out. That
Yep.
wasn't really what came across as you looked at the follow-on media that came out from there.
No, it wasn't.
It seemed like, and correct me if I'm wrong, their immediate response,
Stonewall.
what he's saying is untrue and unfortunate.
Yep.
And it almost seemed like it was so fast that they didn't even have time to really look into what you were saying.
It was like the media had it all lined up. Like they were waiting for this to happen. Like they knew any day somebody was going to release this type of information. And when it was, they immediately went to attack. And they stonewalled it. And they obfuscated and they made excuses. You saw that right in the beginning of this. When I showed those news clips, it was all obfuscation and no accountability for those not the companies, the school district
Oh,
involved.
there's no way they did. They're teachers. You think they're working on the weekends?
No,
they're not. No, they're not. The only people that work on the weekends are bartenders and cops. That's it, man.
Yeah.
Oh, and firemen. I'll give it to firemen. But even then, they've got their feet kicked up and they're cooking, they're grilling dogs while we're chasing down,
grilling dogs
because a house party erupted in a massive brawl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's true.
No, I think what they.
Oh.
I believe, and I think you can see it too.
Okay.
That the local politics of the city of Buffalo and the local media groups in the city of Buffalo underestimated the voice, the reach, and the connection that the
Yeah, that's right.
has with its listeners.
That's right.
Right?
I don't even watch the.
Why Eli says that the unsubscribed.
I don't even watch the unsubscribed podcast normally. I know a lot of the people on the show itself, Brent Herrera and stuff like that. I watch a lot of his stuff, but the unsubscribed podcast I'm not really interested in. But this episode, yeah, of course, I'm going to show it to the world.
Community is a community as we move, right? We get things going.
Yeah, that's right.
We raise hell for something that we feel passionate about, and that's what happened over the weekend.
Yep.
And that's what I think got a lot of people to start talking was, oh my God, how many comments? The superintendent of the Buffalo Public Schools shut down all of her social media and put out a
That's so funny.
this is just really difficult being held to the standard that I should be held to. Let me give up real quick and not talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Oh, is this how it goes? Everything that the Buffalo Public Schools is doing is playing into my hand. All it's doing is showing their inability to take a complaint like this seriously, which is exactly what they did in the beginning. They brush it off. This is untrue. They get defensive. They don't look in on themselves and try to find if there's an issue. And then they shut it down and just try to cloister themselves away and protect themselves from any sort of, bad, mean words. For the public eye.
And it's so gross that you have adults, like grown adults, acting like that. It's just ridiculous that we have a system that's set up this way.
Which is, like, I'm gobsmacked that they would, like I said, they played right into my hand.
Yep, they did. They did. And anyone that thought maybe, oh, well, no, that's not true. Like, you can see it firsthand with how the media responded and how the school district responded. It was silence, stonewall, and obfuscate. Like, I'm going to keep saying it. They obfuscated everything that he said. And they were trying to the entire time, and they did. Fun fact.
Proven absolutely everything that I've said so far with the actions that they have, that they're untrustworthy.
Yeah, the writing on the wall, if you read between the lines, it is that we are not ready to deal with the gravity of this situation.
No, we're not.
That they know exactly how many times they haven't reported some big shit. And every single person in that office is sitting there like, damn it, a month ago, Jerry did that. 3 months ago, Susan did this.
Right.
Let me ask you a question.
You deserve it.
This came to me. no, this hasn't come out yet. You know, if you had sent, I'm going to assume, I'm just going to say you have a son. I don't know if you have a son or a daughter. If you sent your son to preschool, right, and picked up your son from preschool, and you're like, hey, buddy, what'd you do today? And he's like, well, I got in trouble. You're like, oh, no, what'd you do? He's like, well, I accidentally used permanent marker on the dry erase board, and I put a line on it. And so I got put out in the timeout room. You're like, yeah, that'll get you. That'll get you. Where's the timeout room? Oh, it's the bathroom. Timeout room is the bathroom? Yeah. What do you do in the timeout room? Well, my teacher and the teacher's aide, the Buffalo Public School, will put children in the bathroom and turn off the lights and then put their foot against the door so the kid can't get out. So let me ask you, as a father, if you found out that your kid was trapped in a bathroom with the lights off for extended periods of time as a punishment,
I would kill
would you be upset?
that teacher.
Yeah, I mean, scorched earth is the term that comes
Yeah,
to mind.
thank you. Thank you.
The ability to restrain myself, if you were to hear something like that about your own child, would be very difficult. And that's what it's hard to fathom. That
you're going to put my
completely
kid in a room in solitary confinement. I don't care if it's for 5 minutes. That's a preschooler that's going to obviously freak out about that. But you weren't afraid of the dark when you were a kid, and now you're putting him in a room.
That's,
you're putting your foot against the door, and you're not letting him out.
I just can't believe that somebody would do that.
So their
That's not right.
being molded, and something as small as that can have a traumatic effect on their brains long term when they're still getting developed like that. You don't know what kind of long term damage you're causing when you're including sensory deprivation.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right.
Like there's things put in place for criminals and prisoners to where they don't necessarily have to be put in that situation, but all of a sudden we're doing that to our kids.
Yep.
Like I find it hard to believe that I would be able to restrain myself if I heard that was coming from someone that's supposed to be trusted to instill education and help growth for our children, and they were doing that.
What if I told you that person?
Yeah, an educator.
Yeah.
They just said, hey, you can't go in the preschool room anymore that you trapped him in the bathroom with. Still at the same school.
So, like, how is that even possible? Like, where is the failure within the school district that's even being allowed in the first place?
Okay, so I'm glad I'm not the only one that freaks out at that.
There's no way that the principal and all the hierarchy of that school doesn't know about that and is aware of that and isn't doing anything about it.
Completely.
I have my own ideas of what's caused this. One of them is the defund the police.
Let's hear this, because once again, Rich is the guy who's actually dealing with all this. He knows firsthand. So let's hear this.
Police movement that happened in 2020, where everybody hated cops. Well, got a lot of lefty loopy teachers, right?
I disagree with him completely, because I'm sorry, this has been going on much longer. Because when I was in high school, that was like, I don't know. How old am I now? I'm 36. So that was almost, 16, 18 years ago.
To get political.
Like, if that shit was going on 18 years ago with me, I can't imagine how much worse it's gotten.
Right? But you got a lot of teachers that are like, and we've seen it on the news. I won't let police officers in my in this school. I'm not going to help police officers when it comes to, immigration or.
I'm sure it got worse underneath that.
Anti-cop, don't trust cops kind of thing, right? So that mindset gets passed around, and that mindset gets mixed with, I don't want a lot of complaints at my school because it's going to make the school look unsafe. So I don't get the distrust of cops, get the not wanting to show what's actually going around in the schools, if they're safe or not, because it might look poorly on the administration. And then you get, and that mix just, that's it. Because now what's going to happen is you're going to have something happen. You're going to have a teacher be like, hey, I don't like that. We shouldn't do that. And then you're going to have the administration and all the wacky teachers that are just as wacky as them throw that good teacher under the bus for trying to make a report about something. Whether it be, how dare you, we don't trust cops, or how dare you, you're going to ruin Jimmy's life because he's going to be the suspect in the sexual assault. I mean, gives a shit. What about
yeah, exactly.
You know,
and also like, yeah, he's gonna be, and you should be teaching the kid that there's consequences to your actions. Like, there's no get out of the sexual assault free card. And what the hell? They're the ones that say believe all women. Like, they're like, I don't know, the amount of weird, convoluted stuff you need to make if you're on the left as far as that stuff goes. Like, I just don't know how, like, I don't know. It's so confusing on the left. Like, if you're part of the left and you're trying to figure out these things, like, tell me how you do it, because I can't figure it
you've got
out.
the administration that's going to come down on them because now they're bringing attention to the school in a negative light. And from a personal perspective, they just did a video, I think it's Channel 2, put out a video and said, like, since 2021, there's been 17,700 police calls to the 50 schools in the city of Buffalo, averaging about 13 a day. I don't care about that number. I don't care about how many times that they need to call the police, because we'll be there. Call us. We'll be there. We want you to call us so we can make the schools safe. Make it 30,000 and double it down. Keep the schools safe. The issue isn't the number of calls that the schools are getting. The issue is the number of reports that they're intentionally burying that are sexual assaults, that are abuse, that are list them.
Yeah.
That's the issue, is the lack of assistance. And now you're basically just making a breeding ground for predators.
Yeah. Because in my mind, there's like one answer to this, to where there's an expectation of, so you come as a investigatory entity, this comes to light. It seems like there should be one answer, which is, I'm stepping down so that we can get proper, because I'm not doing my job correctly.
Right.
All of these allegations or character attacks, I guess we could call them, on yourself or the podcast or whatever.
Absolutely ridiculous too, by the way. I've already stated in the beginning, like, I don't care if he was hawking up fish when you were, when he was being interviewed and farting and like throwing up and, doing all kinds of crazy shit and stuff. The fact that he's talking about kids, like, you deal with the crap, all, like I said, all style and no content. Thank you.
Are all a distraction from the ultimate thing that we're looking at here, which is the victims and the fact that young, innocent children are being harmed, and we're fucking that up.
Yeah.
Like, the world is a weird place of grays, good and evil. It's sometimes hard to figure out, but when it comes to preserving the innocence of children and protecting them, there should be no sacrificial there should be no there should be no buts. When it comes to that stuff, it should all be, we're doing everything in our power to possibly stop this exact case. And if this continues, like, no one's going to let their kids go to school. Like, the whole public school system is going to crumble.
Yep.
Because no one's going to trust the government or the school district or any entity to take care of their own children.
Yes. Yes.
And continue in a downward spiral.
That's a really good point. That is an extremely good point, because I don't trust the public schools anyways, since the whole trans stuff and all the LGBT stuff they tried throwing down kids' throats. Like, I don't trust them anyways. But I mean, especially with this, like, all this stuff happening, I can't imagine anyone, like, that's even on the LGBT side and the trans stuff would want their kids going to a school where they might get sexually assaulted. Like, what? Why?
Personal opinion is, if you don't have to arrest and fire everybody, right? Even if you don't like the cops, whatever, right?
You gotta arrest and fire some of the people that aren't reporting the egregious shit. And then you set that bar, right? You go, hey, listen, we've got 24 really bad fuck ups here.
Yep.
Right? We'll say those 24 people fucking rake them through the coals. They get exactly what they deserve.
That's right.
Now what's going to happen? Everybody in the schools is going to go, oh shit, reset button. Boop. Maybe we should work with the police. Maybe I should respond to this and take this a little bit more seriously so I don't get locked up and lose my license.
Yep.
Which is like, I hate to use fear as like some sort of learning tool on American people. But
No. Fear needs to be instilled in people. Vlad Tepes could have a freaking golden gauntlet outside his fountain, and people did not steal it. All right? We need that type of fear. Yes, I am that type of crazy son of a gun. I think that type of fear needs to be instilled in people. Because if you don't have the fear of death, you have no fear at all. The fear of death needs to be in everyone for minor infractions. You steal, you die. You know? That should be the thing. Yeah.
Holy fuck. Like, this is more, I don't think it's fear, but I think it's more of like responsibility, right? I don't want to use the term fear. I don't want to like have.
Well, it's negative and positive reinforcement. It's the way that every human has
whatever.
learned. Like, if you do something good, you get a reward. If you do something bad,
something taken away.
Whatever.
And these people who are being...
I don't agree with that, by the way. I don't agree with positive reinforcement. But I do agree with fear. You need to fear things. And be good, just be good for goodness sake, you know? Not because you're going to get something in return. Just be good. It's nice. Everyone likes good things, you know? Be good to everyone. And everyone will be good to you, hopefully. And if somebody's bad, well, guess what? They get curb stomped. Just saying.
Under the rug for... I mean, they're using their fear as an excuse to conduct themselves in this way by not bringing these things to light and doing necessary things that need to be put in place to take care of our children.
And there should be worse punishments for them.
I'd love to see a couple people get their pension revoked. Like, you really want to have people go,
pensions revoked.
I'm not going to not report anything. I'm going to report something. Take a couple people's pensions away.
Yes.
Like the most egregious ones. Hey, guess what? You're fired. You get no pension. You mean I just worked 20 something years and I don't get a pension? Yeah. You're a piece of shit. And else want some? You know?
Hey, if you know that could work, you know? I say impale him in front of the streets, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, how else do you learn? How else does anybody else understand the gravity of what's actually going on if there is not something that happens that's like scorched earth, you're being removed and being set and put as an example?
Oh, brother,
how else does it get fixed?
And I'm ready to give an olive branch. If you're a teacher or a school counselor, a principal, somebody in administration, and you're like, hey, listen, I let a couple things slide that I shouldn't have, and I feel bad about it now, or even I don't want to get in fucking trouble. And the reason why I did that is because my administration or somebody above me said, you can't fucking do that. And I'm afraid of my job.
Yeah.
Clean bill.
That's coercion. Yeah.
Every fucking thing that happened.
That's right.
Said what? And don't
That's right.
lie. Because the second you lie about one thing, we're going to put you right back in the fucking hot seat with everybody else.
Yep.
And then ta-da. What do you know? I bet you there's going to be a lot of people that'll go, all right, this administrator is the worst. These 5 administrators obviously are having some sort of issue, you know, intentionally hiding these things. Those are the ones we need to focus on.
They like kitties.
I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, I've been in law enforcement for a while. I've been a detective for a while. Like, I know how to get people to work with you, even when it might be against their self-interest.
Right. And so, man, like one of the things that you brought to light is that when these things are going to court, I can't remember exactly who it was you said, but some of them are ignoring subpoenas. Is that correct?
So this is where another leg of why I believe that the Buffalo Police Department is not the correct
law enforcement agency to conduct the investigation on the schools, right? Because what you have is you have lawyers for the schools that are instructing the administration not to work with police.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ways that the legal representatives for the Buffalo Public Schools and the administration for the Buffalo Public Schools are not working with law enforcement is they're not answering subpoenas. So
yeah, and that right there, see, that type of situation, I think that's egregious, and I think that's even goes beyond just trying to protect a kid, that might have committed a sexual assault. I think that might have to do with something deeper than just the sexual assaults. I think maybe that might have to do with, some adults that might like little kitties. Just saying.
When a search warrant and subpoenas are different, right? Search warrants, like, I'm getting into this, that's it. I can like grab people and take people away, right? It's a step above. It's a little bit more powerful than a subpoena. However, a subpoena is still signed off by a judge stating you need to come in and divulge this amount of information.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a subpoena can't just be ignored. If it's ignored, you can get what's called a material witness warrant. And let's say that you're, I'll use an example of one of the issues that I brought up from the podcast. Let's say that you're a principal that failed to report a sexual assault of a female by another student. And a year later, I'm looking into it and I want to ask you a couple questions about it. I, as the district attorney or the assistant district attorney, would send you a subpoena saying you need to come in and talk to me. Subpoena signed by a judge. If you said no, F you, which is exactly what this one principal did.
Yep.
I, as a district attorney, could make a material witness warrant. And I would be like, even though you may not be the suspect of criminal action at this moment, like, I need you to come in here and talk to me. And I can send the sheriff's department, the district attorneys,
as he should, and as the people should be forced to be compelled, at least,
attorney's office or
to testify.
And I can go arrest you and put you in the holding center, let you cool off, think about what you did, and then the district attorney will come over and talk to you. And only when they're done talking to you will they release you. So they can do that. Now,
They should start doing that.
From the legal perspective, the New York State Bar Association needs to look at these lawyers, because if the lawyers are telling the student body or the teaching body not to respond to subpoenas, and even they are not responding to subpoenas, how are you, a lawyer, now intentionally ignore?
That is so true, dude. Bobcat, that is really true. So supposedly the DA has well, I won't go into it here, but there's some investigation that needs to be done with the DA. That's all I'll say.
Ignoring significant portions of the legal process.
But yes, you are 100% right on that.
You can't do that.
Well,
so
it
the New
just
York State
screams
Bar
that-
needs to look into that.
Yeah, it just screams that you've got something to hide.
Or not even that you got something to hide. You're intentionally preventing. You're being an obstructionist.
Also, the reason why I'm not mentioning about it, because I don't have legal funds and legal stuff, and I don't want to say anything, and I haven't really talked to an attorney on anything, so I won't say any accusations against the DA. I'll just say that he needs to be investigated.
You're intentionally preventing an investigation from going on when a judge signs off on it, when there's legal statutes commanding you to. So if you've got a lawyer that's not following the law, well, that's an issue. And that's not something that Buffalo police can look into. That's New York State Bar. That would be like maybe the U.S. attorneys, the FBI, definitely.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. They won't look into those things because New York State, they just won't look into it. Like, there's so many criminal lawyers and attorneys that are bar, associated or whatever you want to call it, certified. There we go, bar certified. That's a real problem, especially in New York. Just there's so much. Like I said, they call it the rotten apple because it's the rotten apple.
The AG's office, potentially.
So this is just something that is of the nature of needing way more bodies involved in order for it to be handled correctly.
Yes.
And there's so many different levels, like I said, that are above us. You know,
Yeah.
If the district attorney's office is like, they're not even listening to us, well, then now they need an investigation that looks in at the district attorney's office, and then the schools that are intentionally like saying, no, I'm not going to listen to you. Now, do you want to do that as a district attorney with your own investigation? You could do an internal one. That's fine. Or do you might want the AG's office?
That's the thing. The AG's office, Pam Bondi. I seriously think the federal government needs to look in on this, because I don't think that it's just isolated to Buffalo. This is a much broader issue. That there's a festering rot that got into our schools, and now it's metastasized.
Is the AG's office, like, they're going to come in, question everybody that's in the DA's office, just like I kind of said before. Somebody out of
Medical analogies, I know.
Come in, pull you
I can
off to
do
the
with
side and
those.
say, listen, I'm not the guy that's in charge of you, so I don't care what you say to me, but I want the truth. I'm not going to judge you any differently. I'm not going to think you're difficult or more difficult or less difficult to work with. I'm an outside guy coming in here to just get the facts, which is what I think should happen. So one of the reasons that like I put it out, especially on the podcast, all these stories, is because there's so many moving parts to the Buffalo school system doing these, some would say criminal activities by not answering the summons, intentionally not reporting, which is falls under New York State Penal Code and is an arrestable offense. Like, you have so many different moving parts in this, and it's so large that you would need a single entity above everybody involved to get a bird's eye view of it and lead the investigation.
Yep.
So I went on the podcast. I wanted to get as many eyes as I could on it.
You did it. You did it, brother.
Hopefully, the AG's office, the U.S. Attorney's office, the FBI, the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, can go,
yep,
what are we doing? Even the, what's it, Linda McMahon, the head of the Department of Education?
Yeah, she won't.
She could be like, you know what? I'm the head of the Department of Investigation, or the head of the Department of Education. I need an investigation going on this. How are these kids not safe? Why aren't these people reporting? What is going on here?
Right, them people.
So, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know if legally this requires a federal investigation.
It totally does.
FBI's alley. But a lot of the,
remember, as I said before earlier on this, there was all kinds of stuff in the 90s and the early 2000s that you just, in the 80s, the 70s, that you just didn't hear about because the media covered. I'm telling you, the media covered for this stuff. The media is corrupt, as corrupt as you can imagine. And it's corrupt on more issues than just the federal government and the federal issues. It's corrupt down to your local news corporations. I could talk to you about local stuff that happened around here, but then I'll dox myself, and I don't really want to do that. Yeah. Yes, the media, it is. But see, the thing about now that is different than before is we have something that's even bigger than what the mass media is. Nobody watches TV anymore. Nobody cares. We have YouTube. We have other things. We can make our own media conglomerates, you know? We are the media now. Even me with this little thing, I have 100 people that's watched this video so far. I'm a nobody. I'm literally a nobody. So we do have power in just ourselves, you know? I can reach 100 people and I'm just this guy that's recording, you know? And the same thing with everyone else. Collectively, yes, individually we're nothing. But collectively, we make up the media. We are the free press. We are those things. And as long as we stand together, we are a legion. And that's all that matters. And the media, as powerful as the media is, it has no power against the populace. And now that the populace can freely talk and freely exchange ideas, that is our key to freedom.
Issues that I'm getting with the Buffalo public school system, those issues are being echoed to me and the unsub guys in emails,
Mhm.
comments, and DMs from people across the United States.
That's
And I'm
right.
not talking like mom and dad are upset that something happened in school in Ohio. I'm talking about like school administrators, people in like the city board of education of
That's
different
good.
places across the United States are like, yo, you're not alone. They cover shit up here all the time, and they
See?
work with us.
See?
So even if you wanted to argue that
I've been
this is,
saying it from the beginning
this is
that
a
I heard
state level
this.
thing or a county level thing, I
No.
can understand that.
It's
Even
nation.
if you wanted to argue that, you
It's
can't
nationwide.
deny that nationwide this is an issue.
Yep.
And just like I said before,
It
if
is.
you want to get this Buffalo Public School Board in line, hold people accountable, but the good people start making reports again and hold the bad ones accountable.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And now if you do that on the national stage, that same mindset that I've just stated is going to push through the United States. They're going to go, "Oh my God, don't be like Buffalo."
This is
Work
like
with
the
the
midterms.
Right.
This is one of the
Report
things that the midterms
appropriately.
can be about.
Don't hide abuse from the cops.
Right.
So that's kind of my domino effect that I would hope, in a perfect world, that I would like to start.
Yeah. Well, man, I commend you for not.
And he did. He totally did.
Or let that be the the deciding factor in what ultimately, is the motivating thing to get people to work with the police. But at the same time, we have laws put in place with fear, like you don't murder people for fear of losing your life yourself or going to prison for the rest of your life. It seems like the way forward, or there has to be something that happens on a scale in which it reaches a large swath of people nationwide, so that everybody, whether or not they've paid attention to this exact thing, is all of a sudden thrust into the situation with the understanding that there's huge consequences to pay, and that we have to be cognizant from the health of our whole entire nation.
Yep.
Like, again, we're coming back to this conversation about this is protecting the youth. There should be no delays, no hesitations when it comes to taking action on this issue and these issues at large.
Yeah. And even I would even further that it's not just about protecting the youth. It's about protecting the community. Because if the youth get screwed up, the community is going to get screwed up down the line. And right now we have a society that's we're on the verge of collapse. I mean, we might not economically. I don't know. I mean, there's some arguments to be made that even economically we might be on the verge. But as far as socially, like how we get along with one another and how we exist, there are so many people nowadays that have isolated themselves inside their rooms, inside their houses, that it's ridiculous. And like they've managed to get rid of almost all social spots. Like there's very few places that you can go where you can just be social and stuff. At least where I live. I live outside of a fairly big city. I mean, it's not that big, but it's large enough that it's a city. And all the social spots it's gone away. Like we have the public park, and maybe we have, we have the mall, what's left of it at least, and like some stores and stuff. But like as far as places to hang out, like there's nothing. And it's a problem that we have in our society that we're isolating ourselves. And I think this part of isolation is a reason why these schools are getting away with the way that they're treating their students, is because kids are so isolated as it is right now that it's pretty much free ground to do what you want, and it's really, it's sad when you come right down to it, that everyone has been so isolated. We need to start hanging out, and doing things, and forming community and stuff, go to churches and, different things like that. Because it used to be the church where people would gather and like have fun, but we don't do that anymore. At least not in my area.
I agree. Like,
Yeah, he agrees with me. He agrees.
One of the things that blew my mind, when I, busted this thing wide open on the podcast. Why is everybody upset with me about how I came out with the information?
Yep.
Like, oh, you shouldn't have done it on a podcast. Why would you do that? Why don't you just tell the news?
Yep.
Because the news is going to go on the next story next week.
Yep.
Tomorrow even.
Well, yeah, I think it's indicative of
the next 5 minutes.
I definitely see some similarities between
Boom.
us and what Brandon was going through when he was running for public office. Is from the perspective of mainstream news, they like to pin, people like Brandon, people like, oh, you're YouTubers or you're just YouTubers. And they don't look at it from the lens of these are people that serve their nation in multiple.
Look at Pete Hegseth. What they tried pulling with him, calling him a Fox News host. No, he was in the military and he was pretty high ranking. Hello, So like they try to paint people into these corners, and it's just like, dude, that's not correct. Even Dan Bongino, let's forget all of the service that he did. Let's just focus on that he was on podcast. It's crazy.
In a multitude of different ways, but they have a communication outlet because they're high functioning individuals who have positive messaging to spread. And this just happens to be their outlet.
Well, yeah,
it's a ploy from
I wouldn't necessarily
go down the ladder of.
I wouldn't necessarily go bar hopping because you meet a lot of people looking for other people, when you're bar hop. But I mean, just going out and having fun, like an axe throwing park or something like that, or something cool, cards and stuff.
Importance as a way to stay meaningful when
skateboarding. Now I'm gonna sound like Tim Pool. Gotta go skateboarding.
They allow these other people, like the one who immediately came out and said, what you're saying is immediately untrue and unfortunate, so that they can have their power play within this.
I would kill to have an arcade around here.
What you guys are doing, when you see the scope change from the way that Trump won the election and had a big part to do with it, he's like, podcasts are now the way that we reach the people. They're the new fireside chat that's happening.
Yes.
These are the news, man. You want to figure out what's happening in the world? Check out the memosphere.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. We're consuming information in a completely different way. The smart people are figuring that out. The other ones are trying to downplay how we're conducting ourselves as a means to stay relevant.
That's right.
So I think it's
not moving on.
Powerful.
Technology has changed things. And now you can communicate much easier. And because of that, we have an opportunity to really crack down on this. Because I don't know about you, but I don't like these creepy pedophiles and stuff like that and these sexual assaults. So I'm going to try to stop it as much as I can.
That you're dealing with what you're having to deal with as you come through, and you're looking at what you're saying, looking into it, and thinking that it's just going to be something that, Fox News is going to immediately call you up and be like, hey, we're doing everything we can to spread this message far and wide. Let's solve this as soon as possible for the children and get this taken care of.
Yep.
But it seems like, unfortunately, that's just not the case.
But we were prepared for that. And we're going into phase 2 right now, which is our own evidence collection, our own statement collection.
Yes.
And, we're going to run with it.
Good.
Buffalo is not ready for what's about to happen because we're not seeing enough, looking into it, which is, once again, mind-blowing. How hard is it for the district attorney's office to be like, hey, this has interested us. We're going to do an internal investigation and see if our subpoenas are being answered. Dude, just come out with that. That's already information that you have. That's not even a criminal investigation. Hey, we're going to double check that all of our assistant district attorneys that are handling these cases that are going to be putting these things to trial, we're going to make sure that their subpoenas are answered. And we're going to see which ones aren't answered and by whom. You're like, okay, all that information is already at their desk. Like it's already in the district attorney's office. You just got to gather your goons together and go, who didn't answer what? Who's got a thing that wasn't answered?
Yeah. Yeah. Has anybody contacted you that you've been pleasantly surprised with that is kind of coming to your guys' side on this that is making you happy in the background?
There's the internet. The internet has come to our aid. Like, it's amazing. The people that I follow, the friends that I've made on social media, that have significant accounts, whether it be, big on Instagram and small on Twitter, or big on Twitter and small on YouTube, or big on YouTube and small, doesn't matter. There's been so many people that have come out in support of it. One
That's
person
right.
that I didn't expect to have such a passion about it is JD DeLay. He's he was on the podcast a little while ago. He's got like over like 100 felonies or like 50 felonies or something like that. And he's a reformed guy that was in the prison system. And now he's like, reaching out and helping people transition from out of prison. Great guy, super funny, did a lot of bad stuff, but he's changed and he's full of great stories. And he is livid. He's next level. He's like my level pissed off about it. And
Good.
And he made like a nice video.
More people need to be.
An hour and a half live stream about it. And like his level of attitude is way up here. He's pissed.
Yeah. Yeah.
There have been some rumblings and mumblings of national media, people in national media, including like the podcast sphere and politicians that are like, people have said, hey, I'm going to pass this on to so-and-so. This is not just
Tim Pool. He needs to get on this.
A Buffalo thing. This is a nationwide thing that has to do with schools and the Department of Education not working hand in hand with law enforcement to protect.
Oh no, I mentioned Tim Pool and everyone gets off.
There are irons in the fire right now, to where I'm pretty excited to start making some new friends that are on a different level than I've had previously.
Yeah, good. Well, man, I have to ask you too, because it's it's one of those things. I don't think law enforcement gets enough credit.
Yep.
And it seems like this was something that you've been dealing with for a very long time. And I don't think that police officers, law enforcement, from the local level all the way to the federal level, like, get enough credit for the amount of shit that they have to deal with when it comes to dealing with these things. And my question is, how are you doing with this? How is the collective law enforcement? It's so difficult to have to, like, you guys carry such a burden, such a weight. What is,
yep.
How do we like help the situation? I think that's what a lot of people want to know when they hear things, is like, what is on an individual level? Like, how can people help facilitate justice? How can they help facilitate the overall justice system into what we're doing?
So right now, I think it, like I said, this is kind of catching nationally. Like, a lot of people are messaging us and emailing us. Like, you just have to ask questions.
Yes.
Or at the lowest level, repost and tag a politician in a video.
That's right. That's right. All you have to do is just tag somebody or shout out on Twitter or something, or X. Excuse me, X. It's really as easy as that. And if you're having a problem yourself, like they said, you can, email them at Take the High Road. Yeah. I mean, it's very easy to get in touch with these people. And your local politician, that's really where this matters. If you're concerned about your local area, these incidents in your local area, just make sure to contact your local politicians and make them aware of it. Make them squirm a little bit. Put that heat on them, because they deserve it. And we can make our schools a better place for everyone, and our neighborhoods safer, and our communities safer. It's important to get all these people, and also to find the actual perpetrators of this stuff, because yeah, they might be kids now that are doing some of these sexual assaults, or they might be teachers, or they might be, you know, other people that are doing these sexual assaults. And if the school system is covering for these people, they don't need to be covering for them. I'll just put it that way.
Right? Like it's like a bee swarm. You get stung once and you're like, oh God. You get, you kick a beehive and you're listening now. That buzz is a lot louder and it's more real. So if anybody wanted to individually help out what we're doing right now, it's as simple as just retweeting and tagging politicians and law enforcement agencies.
There we go.
In either the unsubscribe podcast and sending it to them, or dude, blowing up their DMs. Like that's it. Find a politician's email. They're all out there. Find
That's right.
a politician or law enforcement agency's Twitter or Instagram and blow up their DMs and their comments. I mean, everybody's on the phone already. All you gotta do is cut and paste, baby. Cut and paste that thing and send it.
Yep.
And go, what are you doing about this? And that's it.
That's right.
Bare minimum level, 5 minutes while you're taking a shit. Do that. Before you wipe, hit that send button.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. I appreciate you coming on here and giving us the rundown. And I know you got to basically stay on the airwaves. And what you said you got a ball tonight or something?
Yeah, we have a policeman's ball. It's our award ceremony night tonight with the union. And a good friend of mine is Navy Swick. He's a detective sergeant. I think he's detective of the year.
Basically,
a phenomenal.
It's over. He has like a minute left. So I'm gonna end it here. Remember to like, subscribe, and favorite. I really feel weird about saying that, considering the subject matter, but I'm supposed to. So like, subscribe, and favorite. Honestly, share Rich's story, Angry Cops. Just share that around. If you like, fuck, subscribing to me and all that other stuff, and liking and subscribing. Like, I don't give a shit. It's more important that Angry Cops' crusade gets momentum. Just do that. I love you guys, and I hope you guys are doing good. And I'll catch you next stream, which will be tomorrow at 8. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing. If you have any other videos, send them over to me. If you have anything you want me to react to, send them over. And if you have a video game request that you want me to try out, request it. Anyways, that will be all. So see you guys. Bye for now. Bye. Oh, my hand's not working. All right, I don't have my tracking. Bye. All right, see ya.